Terra. Terra, probably the most interesting band there, and Kepri is going to be the first pick for George Mason.
Yeah, Terra more so being banned out as kind of that warrior style, I would imagine. After her recent buff, she's taken a very large prominence in that soul lane, just having that more upfront damage. Hunbat's being looked at here by Penn State. And Hunbat has been an incredibly potent pick in scenarios where you need those corridor team fights to really impact the game. Hunbat's Fear No Evil is the best ability for that, and Apollo being locked in just for that dual lane control.
I love Hunbat's, man. That got so much fun to play, and seeing him be played, if you use his abilities correctly, there's really like nothing your opponents can do, especially in small corridors. Fear No Evil, your beads are down, you're done. Hercules being hovered by George Mason. Very strong pick for the soul lane. Moves fast, heals fast, does a lot of damage.
Yeah, it seems as though so far these two teams don't really want to do anything outside of comfort picks here, or outside of top tier picks. Rom, though, not necessarily that other top tier hunter when people talk about that. For a while it was Izanami, now it's not quite so clear, but Rom, you got to feel comfortable on that god if you want to be able to perform on him. And Penn State is looking at a Sobek pick for themselves. This is a Guardian that's been very, very strong, and it also offers up a lot of flex potential. Could go to the solo lane, but also could find himself in the support role.
In that support role, he has that wave clear Apollo as well. Very strong in that regard, which in Season 4 has been the name of the game. You clear that wave, you get extra experience. Sobek going to be locked in, and Penn State is looking to ban here.
Yeah, Penn State, they currently pretty much, it could be the same thing for all of them. At this point, we don't know. There is, actually, no, sorry. They have their jungler, and George Mason doesn't, unless they want to run, like, I don't know, Rom jungle or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Doubt it will happen, but instead they will take away the Circuit. Odin getting banned out immediately by George Mason. Odin would be able to really take away a large part of what has made Hercules so popular, which is that heal coming off of mitigate wounds.
Yeah, and everybody on George Mason has no way to get out of the cage already, so just a great ban all around. Well, we do see Owelix actually going to be the next assassin banned out by Penn State, trying to get that off the board. I guess there's the option
to has the jump. That's the only reason.
Hunbat's has the jump. Hercules does have the pluck option as well. Zeus going to be the final ban by George Mason.
I really like the Zeus ban. He has been incredibly popular, and if he wasn't banned, he probably would have been picked by Penn State immediately. It doesn't take a genius to play Zeus, but if you're good with placing your ultimates and you're good at getting off the chain lightnings, you will just absolutely destroy a team fight. Xing Qian being looked at now by Penn State, and it will be the selection as well. That should put Sobek into the support role, unless they want to run Xing Qian support, but Xing Qian, the much more traditional solo lane guardian.
Yeah, while Xing Qian can go into the support role, he does have a lot more pressure and a stronger ability to run that solo lane. And unless there's two guardians in the solo lane, but with that Hercules on the table, I doubt that we'll see it.
Yeah, no, there's no way. Isis, she's going to get looked at here, and in terms of middle lane push power, nobody has ever been more popular than Isis for that. She is the best level and clear out of any mage really in the game. She will be the selection for George Mason. So they're going to look for that bully potential here because they need it, as they're looking at a Nemesis with their last pick, which this is the second time that I've seen a Nemesis get played this season, just in general. And that it will be the selection for George Mason. So they're going to, this is putting a lot of their cards on the table.
I mean, if it gets run well with the two guardians over there, it can put in work. I'm not really a big proprietor of Nemesis myself. I wouldn't suggest it, but what can you do? Soul is going to be the last pick over on Penn State. Interesting pick, to say the least.
Yeah, Soul also not being played too much this season, though, will be in that mid lane with Apollo also being on the board. And Soul kind of will function better as a mage in the season after receiving those nerfs, taking away the, people always call it Fatalis, but I prefer to think of it as Sprint 3, as old Sprint 3, New Heavenly Wings, because you don't have the penalty at all. You don't have to hit your auto attacks with Soul. So now she'll function a little bit better as a mage, but Nemesis, I mean, there's a lot of early pressure being drafted by George Mason. Every other lane should have prevalence over the side of Penn State. So that Nemesis will get a little bit of a boost in the early game where she's basically non-existent.
Yeah, and with that, we're going to go ahead and cut into a short break before we get into this game, George Mason versus Penn State. So stick around, and we'll be right back. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Game 1 of George Mason versus Penn State. I am Bryce LPs, and with me here, I have D-Sinks. How's it holding on?
Well, so far I'm still in the game, so that's we're making progress here. But in all seriousness, I am very, very excited for this matchup here. And the number one talking point at this game is going to have to be this Nemesis selection. She's been so unfavored this season. Like I said, I've seen her twice, and I mean playing the game, spectating the game. Just nobody's picking Nemesis at this stage because she's always been known as early game she does nothing, but in the end game she's really, really good. And that's kind of a problem in this season that when it's so early game focused. But she is being drafted here because there are two Guardians on the side of George Mason. And so far, actually, even Zidru and F. Diddy were able to find that early game pressure over Penny and Menaeus. So not in the worst set of circumstances just yet.
Yeah, they are able to get the two small creeps from the blue buff, but there is a four-man rotation over to George Mason's blue buff, and it doesn't look like they're going to be able to do anything. They're rotating over it, but it doesn't look like they see four people. They immediately spot it, turn around, but the pluck has come out. F. Diddy, you are in a bad spot. You don't have your dash. You used your slow, and Totable is going to get first blood.
That was some pretty clear miscommunication from George Mason. Just My Luck should have been able to say, hey, there's four people rotating on over, and they got the full camp, whereas Penn State got the full camp, whereas George Mason only were able to find the smalls on the blue buff, so they weren't going to have that level 2 Nemesis. She couldn't get away from that pluck the moment that it came out, and there was a chance she could have popped her beads, but she didn't have it up in time, or she didn't hit the button in time, so F. Diddy just went ahead and accepted his demise.
George Mason did steal away the red buff from Penn State. There are, again, four people over here chilling. Luckily, though, George Mason is not going to get jumped on quite yet. Oracle Harpies are going to be the point of contention, and it looks like these are going to fairly easily go to Penn State.
Yeah, Harpies, now it becomes a hard part for them where you do have this early game pressure in that Isis. However, Nemesis already had issues. So in theory now, this should be the opportunity for Penn State to really just start pushing forward, but Menaeus was actually still behind Nemesis up until that wave. So at this point, it's not worst case scenario, but the clock's ticking for the side of Penn State. They're going to have to find some advantages here pretty quickly.
Well, I don't think Penn State's in for too much trouble, seeing as how the last time I saw a Nemesis was when I accidentally rerolled an Assault. I mean, you know. I
haven't even seen her in Assault. It's like Assault nose. It's like no, we can't do that to somebody.
I mean, that's because everybody's just re-rolling everything. You have a very low chance to get anything in that game, man. I hate it. Anyways, Penn State. I played Afterlife twice. You're right. Penn State, they are going to go ahead and clear out the rest of their jungle. Make sure that they can not fall far behind, as they do have this first blood, and falling behind after getting the first blood means that you are being outplayed.
Yeah, you're getting out-farmed somewhere, and it's especially bad when you consider that getting out-farmed would mean that Nemesis is doing better than you. Lermy is putting a little bit of damage onto Havoc over in the dual lane with the help of Wiggles to Bay. And I will talk about, in our prediction videos, a lot of us have been treating Penn State as the top team coming out of the Japanese division. That's because when you look at Penn State, you see a bunch of notable players, and one of the bigger ones that I do want to point out is Wiggles to Bay. He actually had a brief stint in the SPL and left on his own accord, decided he didn't want to continue on doing it. And you also have somebody like Penny on this team who found some success in the console league as well. And now, obviously, they haven't been able to replicate that same success, but that experience is something that could help Penn State in this kind of longer, more drawn-out game.
Yeah, I agree. Where I want to take a look at the solo lane matchup between Hercules and Xing Chen. Really quick, Zedru, he is going to go ahead and take that blue buff. Actually, no contention, but Hercules versus Xing Chen. This is a matchup where it goes, I'm going to hit you, you hit me, we both don't take any damage, and then we both heal up. And so I don't expect either of these either of these characters to really get far ahead enough in this lane to make an impact until later in the game.
Yeah, I mean, Hercules should win this lane. He just has the better wave clear over the Xing Chen, has less egregious mana problems over the Guardian in the solo lane, which no mana chalice is picked up by either one of these characters. I find that kind of interesting. I think it would help for both. However, Penny, it could be a different story if help comes out, and Starkey is over here, but Penny will be just fine to hop away. Nothing used by either side, so not a big deal. And a rebuff invade actually attempted to come out on the left side of the map by George Mason. Not sure if it was successful, but the Fear No Evil will be good. Havoc finds himself in a bad situation. He's forced up into the sky, and this is just delaying the inevitable. Biggles is waiting at the bottom in that waters. He will land. No, the Capri revive just in time.
Oh, they're waiting it out.
They're waiting it out. This is it for This is it for Havoc. Penn State will find the second kill of the game.
He was really close to having a really good play right there, as we do see Meneas is going on to F. Diddy. The pluck, however, has come out onto Kepri. Starkey, you are being jumped on by Meneas. I don't know if you're going to be able to get away with this, but Meditation has been popped. He's in the tier 2 tower, just barely gets away. But what I was saying is, Havoc almost had a really good play with that Kepri ult. He tried to go into the duo lane. He tried to hit somebody so the archers would target him and then die, but just barely the Kepri ult fell off.
Yeah, it was a little bit too late, but it was a very nice attempt by Havoc to get that Kepri ultimate popped. Also, kind of working against him a little bit. He does have the death toll, and I believe he had Devil's Glove started up at that point. I don't think he had it done. So he hit the minion, and then the minion hit him, and it was basically a net gain of 0. It would have taken a little bit longer. So I like the attempt coming out from Havoc, and the red buff actually was stolen. I took a brief look over, and it was nice and colored up. So George Mason did find that win, but red buff for your ADC's life, not worth it.
But looking at the gold right now, it's only about 500 difference. It's not
still that first blood,
and it's not that much. George Mason has been keeping up even after losing these 2 kills. They're just completely trading out by invading properly, and they're finding what they need to stay in the game in terms of experience and gold.
Yeah, that first blood, I mean, in terms of numbers, that first blood is the only difference. First blood worth about 500 gold, and Penn State find themselves up about 500 gold. Despite all the invades and even another kill happening, Penn State, they've been unable to find a further advantage. And in taking a brief look over at net worth, Nemesis, she's sitting around the same as the Hun bots, which is absolutely not where you want to be, because like I said, Nemesis, when you get to the later stage of the game, she is still very good. Havoc, he is very dead. He has 3 on top of him, and Wiggles DeBay will be able to claim the kill with the Lurking in the Waters.
His ultimate was also used, so a little bit of a waste coming out there for that. Unfortunately, he didn't really get even any damage. And meanwhile, over in the Soul Lane jungle, the invade onto the blue buff is going to lead to Zedju getting really low total. Going to be the only one over there to try to defend. Not enough to make sure his buff doesn't get stolen, but Penn State gets the Gold Fury.
If you rotate to solo, you lose the Gold Fury, one of the age-old adages in Smite, and it holds true there. And something else to note about Xing Qian, he went ahead and picked up the Swift Wing. So I think Xing Qian here, or I think Penny in this game, he is expecting to just constantly be running out of mana in the Soul Lane, which is a fair evaluation of a Xing Qian in the Soul Lane, because that's mostly what he does. Swift Wing will help him get back to lane a little bit quicker with the bonus movement speed, as well as the passive, giving you kind of false Jing Wei passive. And it also has the HP 5, which Xing Qian's, they love. They love their HP 5.
I mean, that back before all the Xing Qian nerfs, if you build a full HP 5 build, you basically just constantly had health pots going, and it was kind of disgusting. please note, Oracle Harpies they are going to go the way of Penn State. What were you saying now?
I actually played solo lane for like a little bit when Xing Qian came out, because I had so much fun playing that character.
That's disgusting.
It was so much fun. He used to be my highest, like one of my highest win rate gods in Smite. Now it's apparently Amaterasu in Arena. I don't remember playing Amaterasu in an arena once, but apparently I've played her 28 times in Arena.
Well, when you build full movement speed in Amaterasu and stay in speed aura, there's just nothing the enemy team can do against you. They can't touch you.
Yeah, and you don't hit them ever. You just run away really fast. That's how you play Amaterasu. I mean, it's just strats.
Now, Havoc, he's died twice on his team. He's been 2/3 of the kills for Penn State, and he's going to start to fall behind and have a difficult time, especially against an Apollo, as Rama not really seen as a notable hunter these days, and Apollo, he just has wave clearing damage out the wazoo, so.
Yeah, also the gank over on the Soul, and F Diddy able to find 1 kill, but Zidru, he could be traded out here. The Fear of Evil comes out from Boombots, but he looked on the back end of it. Wiggles now finds himself in trouble. Just My Luck gets his first kill of the game. Totable will be able to trade out 1, but Monet is also falling. Totable cannot do anything off of it, and a great play coming out from George Mason That was a little bit of a mistake from Penn State. I don't know why Meneas went so deep for that ultimate when Hercules was a free kill on that back end.
Yep, the speed buff is going to be engaged on right here, but Soul is moving in as fast as he can. Zedru is going to get that driving strike. He's taking a lot of damage. Incorporeal form has come out. Zedru does have the Khepri ult on him. He's waiting. So is Totable, though, and Zedru, you're not going to get away.
No, he will fall again. Totable finds... Oh, sorry, Totable already had kills. He has 4 kills now, not... Man, one day I'll learn how to read. And, yeah, that was... I mean, it was a nice gank coming out from George Mason, and they found so much off the backs of it. Ultimately, a 2-for-1 trade along with a buff... Or a 2-for-3 trade, sorry, along with a buff invade. Well played by George Mason to start working their way back into this game. It looks as if Penn State wants to shut it down before it can really even get going. They're taking a look over at the Portal Demon.
We do have 3 people rotating over from George Mason to try and stop this. Portal Demon is at about 10% right now, and it actually looks like George Mason did steal it. Just My Luck does pick up the next kill. F. Diddy picks up Meneas, and now the washing machine is gone off.
Yeah, but Hercules has made the rotation. Zidru, he's looking for more, and he will find more. Kill will go his way. Totable, again, will find a kill on the back end of the fight, but objective steal and more positive trades for George Mason. This is starting to look worse and worse for Penn State. Is taking a look on over at the graphs. The gold is even, but the experience is almost 3,000 in favor of George Mason.
Penn State, I think they got a little carried away with their lead. They're like, all right, well, George Mason just keeps falling. They're giving us picks for free. We can just easily go wherever we want. And immediately George Mason says, no, thank you. We're going to get our picks. We're going to get your Portal Demon, and we're going to pull away with this lead.
Yeah, it was a good timing coming out on that Portal Demon steal, but really it all started on the fight on the right-hand side. Penny was dead. There was really nothing to change that other than some more wards, but you can't change that fact in the moment. So Penny, he was going to fall to the rotation coming out from 3 members of George Mason. But there is no reason to look on the back end of the fight when 2 people are sitting right next to the tower and they don't have beads built because they can't build beads. So, and, you know, the likes of Hercules and the likes of, you know, your Khepri. And so you have those free kills waiting for you, and instead you look a little bit more aggressively to try and get it. Just My Luck, though, that was aggressive enough. He will fall.
You have 4 people over in the mid lane by Penn State. Only took 3 to kill Just My Luck, but they had a pretty good CC chain, as it looks like the Gold Fury is going to be respawning pretty soon. These mid camps will be priority, but I expect contention will soon shift over to that Gold Fury.
Yeah, the Gold Fury, the moment it comes up, that's going to be your next major neutral map objective point. And in terms of zone control, neutral objective control, I'd say both teams are about even. None of them have that great of overall area control. I mean, Nemesis brings none to the table. She's great at pickoff. She's great at eliminating tanky targets, making herself more tanky, but she doesn't have really any AoE damage to speak of apart from that slice and dice, and it's just not that good. Khepri, that's not his shtick. Rom, he does have the ultimate, but outside of that, you're really just looking at Isis and a little bit of Hercules. Whereas on the side of Penn State, similar story, you do have Lurking in the Waters and Fear No Evil along with the Xing Qian, so it's slightly better, but not that much.
The interaction that just came out between Penny and Zedru just described the whole matchup in the solo lane. Zedru was standing at his tower line, and Penny was throwing out a bunch of damage, and Zedru was just spam laughing.
Yep, that's what you do. You're in the solo lane and you're ahead, you just spam laugh.
You know, if you're a scumbag, yes. Now, one thing that's kind of disappointing is taking a look at Totable's build. I can no longer complain about Penny's the Fatalis coming out. Meanwhile, Penny is going to get dove under his tier 1 tower and fall to F. Diddy.
Yeah, Penny went for an ultimate just to poke out Zidru, and Zidru just went ahead. He popped his thorns through his boulder, was completely fine, and then at that point, it was just a free kill for F. Diddy with no ultimate, no CC immunity. Ultimate comes out, slows him, cuts his health in half, and he falls. And you were talking about Fatalis on Soul. I mean, she's been an auto attack character for so long, and still how people are going to be playing her. So that mage selection building her in that pure mage style isn't really going to happen. You do still need the Fatalis. She's going to look to put it to work here as the Fear No Evil comes out, and people are looking at Zidru right now, but it's mostly going to be a retreat as Havoc. Early game disadvantage, no more. Solo kill comes out for the Hunter.
Soloed. So I was gonna scream soloed, but you know, I'm just gonna calmly say, Havoc, you got the solo. Good job, bud. Gold Fury though is gonna be started up by Havoc. These Oracle Harpies are going to spawn up at the same time, but apparently Gold Fury is not the priority right now. It has been leashed by Penn State.
Well, Mason, they can't do it at this point, and they will actually split on those Oracle Harpies. Vision goes to nobody, but you cannot do the Gold Fury with two people from the enemy team staring at you. That is just a disaster waiting to happen, and Havoc won't do it, especially without his team's backup. But now, with the Capri's here, he will start up the Gold Fury again. Zidru has also made the rotation, and he is looking to fight, goes for the pluck, not going to be able to connect on it at first attempt. He will then back away and go towards his team, and it seems though both teams have decided it's not worth starting the fight.
The very awkward Gold Fury dance, with the Gold Fury not being as important as something like the Fire Giant. You kind of dance around it, but you don't stay around too long. You're just kind of there for a second, and then you're like, all right, well, they're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. Let's back off. Let's get experience somewhere else on the map, and both these teams are going to be doing that and waiting for their next chance to fight.
Yeah, they will go ahead and kind of back off a little bit. I mean, at this point in time, if you're the side of George Mason, you got to be feeling pretty confident about your ability to take this Gold Fury. Ice's ultimate at this stage of the game will be the best bet to secure any objective. Sebek ult not going to be quite as good as the Ice's ultimate, but it still will be pretty good. Wiggles isn't building damage, though. He's got the Traveler Shoes. He's got his tank items. That's what you expect out of your support. Isis, she has the Dynasty. She has the Penn boots, and she's working towards likely to be an Ethereal staff, though. Still could be Gem. She is just going to be able to burst down this Gold Fury way faster than anybody else will.
Well, I agree that Circle of Protection can burst it down. Menaeus' Fear No Evil is still up, and that Gold Fury pit is not where you want to be whenever that's up. We do have Wiggles being chased down by F Diddy, who's actually level 15, 2 levels ahead of the opposite jungler, and this Nemesis pick might just be working out.
Yeah, so far, Nemesis, she's been completely unchallenged, really. I mean, you don't see the constant invade, the constant pressure coming out of the other game. And part of it does have to do with that it was Humbots. Humbots' early game isn't exactly the best. This Nemesis is really fast with this Fatalis and the speed buff. Like, the Hercules has the shield of regrowth fastened on top of him, and F. Diddy's keeping pace. I'm just watching him scurry around the jungle at sonic speed. It's like, oh my god.
It's kind of like building full movement speed, except a little bit more enjoyable because you still do damage. Gold Fury, half health, has been leashed. The fight has been started as we do see the root come out. Some free shots for Rama as he's in the ultimate right now. Wiggles is moving in against the enemy team, but the washing machine is going to be able to throw two.
Two in the back line now. Stanky going to throw the ultimate on top of himself. Totable, he's going to get thrown into the graveyard. Stanky now, or Starkey in the back, and Ice's ultimate going to be able to keep him alive. And they're still going deeper for Penny dashed in, and now he's in a horrible situation. Havoc putting on the auto attacks, trying to bring Penny down, and F Diddy will be able to find the kill onto Penny. It seems as though the priority has shifted again. It's going back to the Gold Fury. Well, F Diddy's going to die.
No, Menaeus saw that. He's like, I can use this Fear No Evil. But unfortunately now it is down, and the Gold Fury has 4 people on top of it. They're trying their hardest, but if they use their abilities improperly here, they're just going to die.
Yeah, and now they're going to go for this steal. Penn State do steal it away. Starkey, he's in trouble. Menaeus will be able to find that kill, and Lermy and Wiggles, they're trying to get out as well. Havoc is rolling forward, looking to put on the auto attacks, but he doesn't have a Fatalis of his own, and Wiggles, like a good support, stands in front of Lermy just to make sure that she doesn't die. But
wow,
Penn State, that was perfectly. I believe that was Menaeus that got that. I'm not entirely sure, but that was perfectly timed coming out by him on that overhand smash to get the objective steal. And really, I mean, that was, I mean, Mason, without the Ice's ultimate, it's much harder to secure that Gold Fury.
Yeah, I mean, not only did Penn State get a Gold Fury, they got a pick. They somehow picked up a kill along with the Gold Fury in a disadvantageous scenario. But Portal Demon now is under contention as Zedru is chilling here. He doesn't know that there are currently 5 people on the enemy team here, and he's going to use that driving strike to get out of there as fast as he can.
And he's looking to pull off an objective steal of his own. The last time Penn State tried this,
he got it! He got it!
Now objectives, no one's safe. F Diddy, he's really not safe. Everything being thrown on top of him. Throws out the ultimate just for the movement speed, and just by luck, able to keep him alive. And F Diddy, he's going to be able to run away from that engagement. What a back and forth.
You're their own objectives, man. You can't be letting that happen back and forth. Penny, you're in a bad spot. You're being pulled. You're getting attacked. Just my luck picks up the kill. And now George Mason they're ready to do whatever they want. They can just take whatever they want on the map.
Well, FTD's going to invade the speed buff, but I think this honestly could be a fire giant, especially if Lurmy keeps getting chunked down like she is. Up into the air goes Havoc, and he's looking for the snipes. Not going to be able to find it, though. Total running away underneath the tower, and however, fortunately, the immunity will last. FTD, though, wanting to make sure that Lurmy doesn't, moving as quick as they can. Meneas, he gets pushed away. FTD does get killed, and the boulder just barely going to connect on the back end. Zidru finds the jungler, and Zidru's just fighting underneath the tower. He doesn't even care. It doesn't matter to him at this point. It's going to be Wiggles. He is the lowest player currently. He's going to throw out that sickening strike and just run away.
Wormy has landed in the back, and now Penn State has rallied. They are ready to go as Zedro has become the target of damage. Penny is being plucked yet again, and we remember what happened last time, but he's just barely going to be able to make it out. And, you know, we're finally going to get an almost disengaged. Wormy still wants to make sure that they don't steal this back camp.
Yeah, Lurmy is going to go ahead and grab that back camp, and now everybody's just kind of running away. And I thought they would look for Fire Giant, but instead they find a couple more kills and the Tier 1 tower. And if you take a look at the graphs, this game is very, very even. 5K experience in the lead for George Mason, though, is the only notable lead to talk about. 1,200 gold, that's maybe Tier 2 of an item, if you're lucky. It's not that much, really. So the XP difference is really where you're going to be looking at, especially without level 20s on the board. But, I mean, Penn State can 100% still fight into this.
Yeah, I mean, this game isn't really anybody's to lose just yet. Oracle Harpies are going to go the way of Penn State right now, although it looks like they are trying to be stolen away, and Oracle Harpies are going to go to nobody.
Yeah, they split dead even, 1 for 1. And that means, once again, no vision.
It's always disappointing for us, the casters, when nobody gets it, because it's like, oh, who's going to get it? Who's going to get it? Nobody gets it. Okay, exciting stuff.
I kind of like it. I mean, you know, it's super obvious when who takes what on terms of the Oracle Harpies. Is it red, is it blue, or is there nothing there? So, honestly, I appreciate that rather than a buff steal where it's like, where's the buff? Where'd the buff fall? Where'd it go? I
guess that's fair. That's fair.
So yeah, I do appreciate the Oracle Harpies in there. That and Portal Demon. It's like Hyra's just added new objectives. Like, all right, we're gonna make it really obvious who got what.
I mean, and win, because you see a giant blinding light come down over the Gold Fury for the Oracle Harpies, and you hear this incredibly loud sound booming through the entire map for the Portal Demon. If you don't know what's happening, you just don't understand what those sights and sounds mean.
Or you're blind, or you're deaf and blind, like me. Definitely.
That's pretty.
I'll be honest. I didn't even know that the Portal even made a sound until today.
Whenever I just said it, or whenever you heard it?
No. I heard it earlier. Somebody else referenced it earlier. I'm like, I didn't know it made a sound. I've never heard it in my life.
It is literally the loudest sound of this game besides the match notification sound.
No, it's probably still not louder than Thoughtful.
That doesn't count. That's completely different. we are going to see, though, George Mason, they're hiding around. Totable, you are the target. Your Aegis is not good. Actually, he's just barely getting out. The incorporeal form is out. He is going to try to make it back. The Fear No Evil is good, but Havoc's ult is even better, and George Mason is going to pick up that kill.
There's beautiful snipes coming out from the side of Havoc, and that will make this a 5v4 without the largest player on the side of Penn State on the board. Total being dead means that the Gold Fury will get taken by George Mason completely for free at this point. Penny did split push, though. He will be able to find that Tier 1 tower, and looks as though Penny wants to continue the split push, and he'll keep just looking maybe for a Tier 2 this stage of the game. F Diddy running around the jungle, he was looking to maybe catch out Wiggles, but decides against it. Zidru did not get to Penny in time, so Penny will be able to get safely back to base.
So I always love whenever whenever Sundering gets picked up, or Sunder rather. I was calling it Sundering Spear in my mind. I was just like, what is this thing called? Sunder. Whenever Sunder gets picked up, I love it because it used to just be a meme, right? And now it's just really good in a lot of scenarios.
PBM, DNS. And chats.
And seeing that Penny has it, what a good combination Washing Machine into Sunder is. Could you imagine if it hit multiple gods? How good that would be?
If Sunder hit multiple gods, or
if Sunder hit multiple gods, Washing Machine into Sunder.
That'd be pretty gross, honestly. Sunder's already. I mean, Sunder. It used to be a troll item. Really, it was. I feel like trolling this game. Let's buy Sunder because you control, but also still do damage and have fun. But now Sunder, after getting the buffs going into season 4, it's been viewed more and more as a viable situational item, and clearly Penny thinks it's the right situation for it, and it doesn't need to hit multiple gods. Washing Machine, though, technically it can hit multiple gods.
I mean, yeah, you know, in best case scenario, meanwhile, you do see Totable being dragged into that tier 1 tower. The pluck is going to miss, and Totable, he's the one being pressured out here by George Mason. They just want to make sure that he gets taken down so they can take advantage of these team fights. Manea's beads, though, are going to be popped.
Yeah, Zidru will be without Wingblade for a little bit. The Wingblade passive did get popped there and just moving at supersonic speeds. So there's a bit of a fight going on in the dual lane, which Lermy was losing pretty badly as Havoc is just pushing forward. And even though he got 4-man gank, I mean twice. It was only twice. It wasn't 3 times, but
twice.
He fell 2 times in the early game. He has had absolute control of this dual lane over Lermy. And this ROM, I mean, I said he's not. This is probably your comfort pick here, and it certainly seems that way on Havoc.
Unfortunately, Penn State isn't really taking the advantage of Lermy being Apollo. Apollo's able to force somebody to go to the dual lane, and then whenever your team starts a fight, it's a 4v4 situation. Apollo ults over, it's a 5v4 situation, and the enemy hunter or whoever is over in dual lane just can't get over. And it seems Penn State really just isn't utilizing that right now.
Yeah, Penn State's just kind of letting Lermy take the fights with Havoc and lose the fights continuously. And, well, an objective has been started up in this game by George Mason, so we will see whether or not they're able to hold on to it. However, just by luck, this time around, will have access to that circle of protection. Penny moving forward, looking forward. The ultimate comes out, and it will be secured by George Mason. Zidru and Havoc both being rooted out in the back end by Penny, and it seems as though this is not a fight that Penn State wants to take. Everybody scatters immediately. They're just going to maybe look to hold it out as Meneas. He could be in trouble. F. Diddy is very, very large at this point, and Meneas jumps in place, trusting and wiggles to make the rotation. The pluck comes out, but the beads will as well, and F. Diddy will be able to run away. Totable still pushing on that gas pedal.
F. Diddy was just going in hard, and if he got that kill, it would have been completely worth, but we saw that the tier 1 tower is going to be lost. Totable, though, is going to take plenty of damage. The Aegis has been used, and F. Diddy is going to pick up the kill on that one. Lurking in the waters has been used. F. Diddy, you are chilling in that Aegis, but it will not be enough. Kebriel, though, will be enough to save your life as Circle Protection comes out and forces a disengage from Penn State.
And Lermy has made the rotation on in, but it's too little, too late. Fear No Evil comes out. It will connect onto 2, but it doesn't result in any kills so far. F. Diddy still going in deep. No Capri ultimate this time around, but it doesn't matter. Jumping in is going to be Meneas looking for the damage. The extra protections gained from Kepri's too good for right now. F. Diddy will finally fall. Meneas also going to fall, however, and now Penny is looking like the next one to do so. And at this point in time, Penn State, they're scattered, and George Mason, they've got the lead. They're looking for a tier 2 tower to make their gold lead up to 5K.
Tier 2 tower has been taken immediately. They book it towards the Fire Giant, and with nobody up on Penn State, this is fairly free. Even at low health that they are, they do have the protections, and it is going to be started up. I don't see George Mason stealing this unless Apollo somehow gets his ult back.
Yeah, Apollo, ultimate on cooldown, Fire Giant being brought down very, very low. Nobody even has an interest in checking this out right now. They know what is happening. And George Mason, they know they've got the lead at this point in time with the Fire Giant on 4 of 5 members. Yes, F. Diddy does not have the Fire Giant buff, but I think they will be A-okay with that. And instead, they're just going to look to try and force down these objectives. I mean, split push is going to be what you should see come out of Penn State. It's what they've done the past couple of team fights, but I don't know if it'll be enough.
Well, with Havoc being the monster that he is right now, and actually having the Fire Giant, while F. Diddy does not, he has just been such a force to be reckoned with this game, even after, as you mentioned, those ganks earlier. Gold Fury is going to be started by Penn State. The rotation has come out, and it looks like Havoc is going to go ahead and say, never mind, we want this Gold Fury.
Yeah, Havoc is now here. Lermy, well, she is in a bad situation again. The Mesmerize and the Purification Beads will be good enough to keep her alive for now. But the Gold Fury, unfortunately, does not have access to a Mesmerize and Purification Beads. It will fall. George Mason will claim it to continue extending their gold lead, and they're going to look to more than likely siege down this Tier 2 tower in the dual lane.
I imagine if the Gold Fury had a Mez, it'd be very overpowered. You know, that's kind of a jungle boss monster. You can't just give that thing a Mez.
I mean, you can.
I mean, all right. You know, you're right. You can do it.
I mean,
Please don't high res is what we're saying.
Please don't. It also wouldn't make any sense. I don't know what would clock up Mez on the Gold Fury. Is really
like
more
a
than
Screech, you know?
else.
Apollo sings, a Screech could basically be the equivalent.
Yeah, that's true. What if bosses what if more bosses had CC? You know, the Fire Giants got the knockup.
No thanks, I'm good.
Remember when the Fire Giant knocked everybody up?
Yes. And the lava just came up from everywhere. It was horrible.
And you just took damage for no reason.
George Mason, though, they are going to be pushing down. They took the tier 2 tower over on the left side. They're looking at this Phoenix Havoc. Your beads are forced, but Wiggles, you are the one taking the most damage. But in the back line, Meneas is forced to pop is Aegis.
Meneas Totable, he's chasing down FTD on the back end. A huge Fear No Evil comes out and 2 get picked up by the washing machine, but Starkey is still alive. Phoenix can't say the same thing. And despite all those abilities getting used, it doesn't matter. Havoc is perfectly content to just stare down Penny as he auto-attacks them. And the Phoenix in the mid lane going to be the next target for George Mason. Ultimate comes out from Totable, and Penn State want to push them out. They will be successful in doing so for right now, but it will only last for how much longer. Zidru, he gets rooted out, but he pushes Penny away. Starkey finds the plug onto one. Wiggles will be getting out, and at this point in time, George Mason, they still look like they have the advantage.
Lurmy Wormy's Aegis is forced to be popped as we do the ultimate coming out from Havoc. This Phoenix is going to fall. Totable, you are in a bad position right now as you are going to get plucked. You are going to get driving struck, and Zedru is going to pick up the kill onto you.
And now Havoc is still pushing forward. Lurmy auto-attacking away. Fear No Evil coming out. Zidru, he will get put down. They will find 2 kills, but at the cost of, at this point, they've lost 2 of their Phoenixes, and they've even lost a member. So I don't think it was really too worthwhile. George Mason, worth thinking about it. That Spirit Ball was a nice Spirit Ball.
FDD, I'm surprised he's not one of the ones who fell. He was at about 2 bars of HP left, and he was just chilling in front of that Phoenix, just kind of hanging out like, hey, guys, I'm waiting for my team so I can help take this Phoenix. Unfortunately for George Mason, though, not picking up that kill, losing 2 of their Phoenixes, and their base is officially broken, and now the Portal Demon is also being... Actually, George Mason was not the one who lost their Phoenixes. I'm sorry. Penn State lost those. Might be.
Yeah, I've also flipped their names 15 times this game.
I
don't know why. They're not that similar, at all. It's Penn State and George Mason.
They both have an A.
That's true. They both have E's. There's an N in at least both of them.
Anyways, though, Portal Demon has been taken by George Mason and not by Penn State. And George Mason is going to be pressing their advantage here. Once all of their members are back up, they're probably going to be looking to maybe hover around this Fire Giant, pick it up, get a very easy teamfight advantage, and then push as they are trying to take this tier 2 tower on the solo lane side.
Yeah, this should be able to go down. I mean, they don't have a lot of... Actually, they have almost no damage on top of it right now. This is going to take... Yeah, this is going to take... I mean, you've got ISIS doing 63, 95, but other than that, it's this is going to be a slow process, and it will allow Penn State to kind of fight it into them a little bit. Zidru's actually taking a lot of damage here, and we'll have to back to base. But with Portal Demon up, it's not really going to be that big of a deal. I mean, could just wait for his heal to take him back up, or you could just go back to base. I mean, either way, it's not that big of a deal at this point. And you can really tell George Mason's feeling themselves at this point because you have a 6th item, Height of the Urchin, picked up by Zidru. He's expecting to get stacks on it, I guess.
Fire Giant is going to get obliterated by George Mason. Nobody on Penn State even thought to contest for a second because of how fast they destroyed that. The right side Phoenix is going to be the target. There's still 2 people who are trying to defend and make sure no fire creeps are going to push in just yet, but I don't expect that Penn State can defend this Phoenix without a miracle.
No, Penn State are going to have a very tough time. Starkey going in on the back end, looking to force out what he can with the pluck. However, he's actually getting brought down very, very low. The passive coming out from the Mantle of Discord will be good for right now. Wiggles will be in the ultimate, trying to do what he can. Actually ends up eating a bunch of damage thanks to Zidru's Thorns being active, and the Titan will be the next thing under siege. Lurmy low, Lurmy dead. Starkey will be actually the next to join in, so it's a 4v4, but with all of the Phoenixes down, Fire Minions will eventually pour into the base, and Penn State are holding on with what they can.
F. Diddy was just plucked by Wiggles, and now Totable is going to pick up that kill. George Mason, you're in a bad spot as Havoc has also fallen to Meneas. Just My Luck has thrown down the circle of protection, but he has unfortunately put himself in a spot where he has to run back towards the enemy's base, and you, my friend, are going to fall. The last member alive for George Mason is Zedru, and I don't expect he'll fall.
Now, Zedru should just run away here and let this all kind of play out. I mean, at this point, though, even though they found 4 members, Penn State can't do anything with it. They can maybe push for a tower here, but at this point, with just Meneas in the... Actually, will Zedru... I thought Zedru might have been looking for the back door for a second there.
He might be trying to take the Phoenix.
Yeah, he is looking for the Phoenix at this point in time with the aid of a singular fire creep, which could make all the difference. The fire creep is dead. Never mind. Zedru actually, he's looking for Meneas, and Meneas almost gets got real hard there, but instead it will be the Phoenix will fall. Lermy is back to base as well, but actually Penn State's looking for a Phoenix of their own.
Yeah, they've been pushing down this mid lane the entire time, and they are doing a decent amount of damage. Unfortunately, Totable, though, is having his attacks blocked. They are going to be forced to retreat, and they're not going to get the Phoenix. They got 2 towers, but they really didn't gain anything. They lost their 2 Phoenixes yet again, and oh, there goes some beats to make sure that they don't get hit by that driving strike.
That was actually really nice. And then no beats pop. Penny uses ultimate as the Totable to get the CC immunity. Same frame as that one. However, Totable, he will get plucked and pushed, and he, thanks to that immunity state, will be okay, but it's just for a little bit. There's no way Totable gets out of this one. Minus will also meet the same fate. 2 members now down for Penn State. And I don't think a Miracle defense is in line this time around. The Titan already brought down so low by the Winions. And George Mason, they're going to look to take this one in the early advantage 1-0.
Very clean game. George Mason, they once they kind of hit into that mid game, they took off. As we saw in the early game, Penn State did get those kills, but then from then on, it was just a battle of farm and who could maintain their lead stronger. And George Mason overall got into the mid game, got their team together, and they took the game fairly clean.
Yeah, I mean, you saw that early advantage come out from Penn State. They found the first blood. They found what they really needed to do against that nemesis, but they just never translated into anything. They never looked to continue going back for those invades. They never looked to continue going back there. And they spent a lot of time putting Havoc down, and at the end of the day, it didn't matter. He went 8-4, as well as having top player damage with 40,000. That was brutal. That was a brutal performance coming out from Havoc, and I don't expect them to get ROM this next game.
Yeah, and honestly, it was just such an unexpected pick as well. So since it has been picked and has been very successful, more than likely going to be banned as well. But make sure that you guys stick around for game 2 as we are going to head into a short break before we get into the second game. So we will see you in just a bit. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Game 2 of Penn State versus George Mason. I am Bryce LPs, and with me here, I have D-Sinks, and George Mason took Game 1.
Yeah, George Mason, they're finding themselves in a great position here. The 2-0 will definitely confirm their spot as the first seed in the gauntlet situation, and Penn State, they probably don't want to give that up at this point. They'll likely both these teams make the gauntlet. They would rather have that top position within their conference. It's going to start off with Thanatos and Thoth bans, and Penn State, they're thinking about what they want to ban next. They could ban Rom here. In all honesty, they could
we've
just take him
expected
out.
the Rome because of how strong it was last game, and Thanatos, I understand that being the first ban, but honestly, Rama as such a priority, I thought you were laughing, but I look over and I see that you're actually dying.
I was
No, but Rama, honestly, I don't know what else they could ban. There's obviously like the very meta bans such as Kepri, which we did see last game and did do some fairly decent work, but now George Mason, they have the option for Rama as Terra is locked in.
Yeah, Terra was left open, and that's going to immediately go on over to Penn State. I would expect that to end up with Penny rather than ending up on Wiggles in that support role. Now it's going to be up to George Mason as to whether or not they're going to take which characters really they're going to take here. And I would not be shocked at all to see Rom get locked in for them, but they could look to hold that up their sleeve for a little bit later on, see what they can force Penn State to do based around it, put their faith in Havoc having a much larger god pool than just that one character.
Yeah, and maybe Penn State is kind of counting on the Rama pick. Maybe they have something up their sleeve as well that they can counter Rama with. Maybe they're planning on just four-man ganking him more and more like they did last game. They did it twice last game, but maybe you need to step it up, boost your production rates up to about 6 times in the first 3 minutes of the game, and you will probably get Havoc out of this game.
Yeah, or you could just do, the good old Hyras versus pros when they just had people waiting for DM as he left the Phoenix. You could just do that with Havoc. I mean, it worked, right? It's got to work here.
I mean, it did.
I really don't think that's going to happen. However, it will be Rom and Sobek locked in immediately for George Mason, which, I mean, that could be your duel lane right there, and that would be a very potent duel lane.
Meanwhile, Medusa and Wheelix are being hovered on by Penn State. Wheelix, we did see banned away this time, but it is going to be locked in. Medusa is going to more than likely be the hunter to go up against Rama. There's definitely potential for that to go somewhere else, but Medusa versus Rama, fairly decent matchup.
Yeah, not the worst thing in the world. I mean, Medusa does have that lane clear advantage coming into everything else. Rom will not be able to clear the lane quite as efficiently, and Wheelish will provide, once again, early pressure coming out of the jungle.
And Nike is actually going to be locked in. We haven't seen Nike all too much. We have seen it picked just a little bit as Vulcan is going to be the ban by George Mason.
I guess they just know Total's God pool, if I had to guess. But I mean, it's still, you don't see it get banned out very often, though. Still does have a lot of power. I mean, mostly in Europe, whenever we do see this, and this is an NA-run league, so you typically don't see that coming out there. But it will be Odin following it up, as well as the Nemesis getting banned.
Wow, that's a shock. We saw how dominant Nemesis was last game, even though there was not really much contention and not really much counterplay to directly stop the Nemesis. It's, I mean, I guess an understandable ban if they don't know what to do against it.
I really do. The thing is that it should have been much simpler for Penn State. I think that was a game plan adjustment that they should have made there, not a gameplay adjustment, and using up that ban. Humbats will get banned out. I do like that ban. Humbats is a very powerful character with that Fear No Evil. You didn't see Penn State get the mileage out of it last game that you normally would like to see on that character, but I do like the ban either way. Don't let George Mason have it. But instead, George Mason, instead of the Isis, they're going to elect towards the Poseidon this game.
Poseidon does have early pressure out of it. He has so much early pressure is what I'm trying to say. Yes. His Kraken is just so incredibly strong in the early levels. And even going into the later stages of the game, as Zhang Kui is going to be locked in. What?
He got buffed.
Are they? Yeah, I understand, but it was more of like a quality of life change, if anything. Like, sure, it's better, and sure, he is stronger now, But John Kui, really? What do you make of this?
So Jean Kui will be able to does have a way of surviving the Kraken if he can pop that ultimate and get off a bunch of the damage, just get the bonus protections from his stacks. His early game lane clear though still is going to suffer a tremendous amount, and that's really where you look to. Though Mason did completely fine with it last time around, despite having that early game lane deficit with that Nemesis. So maybe Penn State look for their adjustments in order to try and. But they don't have as much pressure overall with Geb also on their team. So definitely a curious pick as George Mason. They're going to look to round out their draft here, and they will take
What?
Bologna.
What's going? All right, so Bologna is going to be picked up. So it's
a Nike Jungle.
Nike
Okay.
Jungle, Bologna solo, and Sobek support. All right. I mean, I guess it's something. I'm not entirely sure how Nike Jungle works. Do you?
I mean, it's the Twiggy strat. Cam Twig ran this all during Worlds pretty much. I mean,
Yeah.
you put Nike in the jungle, and really the big thing is farm for Nike. And the hard part about Nike was that in the solo lane, you pick somebody that can interrupt your rend, and you render her useless. Not to be punny with it, but in the jungle, you don't get quite that same level of, oh, I can't rend, GG, it's over. You are able to use that ability more freely on the camps. You have decent gank potential with the jump, with the Sentinel of Zeus, but it really is more so about just having that extra warrior, and more importantly, having that Nike passive on your team in the end game.
So, taking a look at these two teams as a whole, I'd have to say, personally, George Mason's comp looks a little bit stronger, mostly because they don't have a Zhang Kui.
Yeah, the Zhang Kui is going to be interesting, but we've seen interesting picks play out well in this set before. We're going to throw it to a brief break, and we're going to see whether or not Zhang Kui will be enough to carry his team or whether or not the team will crumble around it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Game 2 of Penn State versus George Mason. I am Bryce LPs, and with me here, I have D-Sinks. And just a quick note, whoever wins this game, or this set rather, will be the first seed in the Japanese division.
Yeah, I was just going to set you up better for that gauntlet, better to move on, better to fight for a trip to land, and both these teams want it. And so far, George Mason have the advantage over Penn State. And Penn State, their solution, well, it worked out great for George Mason. Let's pick out a little bit less early game pressure and draft ourselves a Zhang Kui here. And this is, okay, I'll be honest, whenever I play Zhang Kui, I just build him like full tank and just face roll. It's fun.
I mean, it's the best way to play him if you want to have fun. The best way to play him whenever you want to win is to not play him.
Probably not that. That's also true. Pick a different character.
I mean, according to one of our co-casters, though, apparently Zhang Kui will be good against this Poseidon. That's what he said. I don't agree with
protections. You get the protection, so Poseidon can't one-shot you like he can other mages. He does have the protections, which is
something.
That's what you look for, really. I mean, I said that during the drafting phase. I'm assuming that's what they're going to go for here. But something else to note is that Menaeus has picked up Rangda's Mask.
Oh.
And that's kind of, I mean, Rangda's Mask benefits from getting a lot of early kills, but I'm very curious. I don't understand Penn State's game plan really coming into this game. It does seem as though they're going to try and shut down Zidru more, rotating 4 over there and letting the jungle on the left side get poached away from Lermy. But considering the fact that Lermy was, well, I mean, I guess both Lermy and Penny had some struggles, but considering the fact that Lermy was the one who really struggled last time around, I would have thought that you would look more so towards her side.
These teams are essentially mirroring each other right now, going over to the opposite sides of the map, taking 2 buffs, taking the neutral farm, and the neutral objectives. I mean, Portal Demon obviously can't be taken just yet, but Orca Harpies are started up, are going to go the way of George Mason, and it actually looks like Zedru solo stole the blue buff from Penny. Yeah,
Zedru, I mean, picking these warriors against the Guardians, but Guardians are being more favored in the solo lane overall right now because they're harder to kill, they're much tankier, they're much safer, but when you pick this warrior, you have that opportunity to bully people out and look for those invades, which Guardians just simply cannot do. And that's what Zidru has done this entire set and been able to look so dominant going against Penny.
One benefit about the composition of Penn State is the Geb against Poseidon. Now, we mentioned how Zhang Kui more than likely won't get one shot with those protections from Kraken. And with Wiggles on Geb, if he gets good shields, he can also prevent some pretty decent one-shots and get some nice saves, which means this Poseidon pick might not be as potent as we expected it to be against the comp of Penn State.
Yeah, Penn State, I mean, Poseidon, you have options to do with the Poseidon, and that's part of the reason why I think the Zhang Kui was selected, specifically was looking at the Poseidon. But at the same time, it still is going to be rough. Poseidon can still just blow up Lermy. I mean, no matter what, you'd still have that mage sitting there. You still have your jungler sitting there, and you can just kill both of them. That's not really an issue that you can have with Poseidon in this instance. He still has people to kill just because you remove the mage from it, though mages are typically the most immobile of the targets, so it is nicer to have to get rid of the mage option.
Remember the days when Poseidon was picked simply because he was really fast?
You know, why do you think that something has changed between now and then? That they picked him for some other reason? Actually, Totable is looking to pick Zidru, but Zidru's completely fine to just sit here and take the damage from 2 magical characters. He just eats all of the damage coming out from Zhang Kui and from the Terra and walks away. I mean, it's completely fine, though the rotation was coming out from the jungler and the support. And Wiggles, he's actually going to get plucked back. He's not level 5 yet, just my luck. He gets knocked up, but Menaeus also isn't level 5. Fortunately for them, Penny is, but Penny, he's going to get blown up here. The Kraken comes out, and it's just a matter of time. Geb's shield was all for pleasantries, and Zidru finds the first blood onto his opposing solo laner.
The bludgeon was canceled out by the knockup coming out from Menaeus. Totable is still the target. The whirlpool will not be effective, but the jump will be forcing out the bees. The knockup and stun won't be enough as FDD is going to rend Totable useless. FDD has been knocked up. Menaeus is going to flip over him, but he has just been slowed. He has used everything. The pluck is enough. Unfortunately, the whirlpool is going to stop the pluck from pulling him far enough, and now Wiggles picks up FDD. as well as another pick coming out. Starkey is going to fall as I wait for my co-caster to.
I think I'm back now. Shoutouts to my name. As I'm actually just watching this game. Okay, there we go. I think I've caught up. For whatever reason, I was fine with the game, and then the audio cut out, and then my game rewound and sped up. Good times. So I think I'm back.
It's always nice having special effects whenever you're watching the Smite Spectator. A flawless system indeed.
To reset things. Maybe that'll fix all my internet issues.
Meanwhile, we do have Oracle Harpies being soloed by Havoc. No contention, meaning that the vision on the Gold Fury will be free. Havoc, he hasn't gotten any solo kills quite yet, so we haven't seen him, take out that Medusa. If it does happen, though, this time I will yell soloed. I am prepared this time.
Yeah, you won't be caught. You won't be caught sleeping. Medusa, though, on Lermy, she's going to be looking to catch some people looking here. I mean, the teamfight ultimate from Medusa is the most impactful out of any hunter that is allowed to be played right now. I think so the new Celtic one, whose name I'm not going to try to pronounce yet. I think that he might have a thing or two to say about that, but Petrify can completely change a teamfight and how it is and how it goes. So, I mean, I think that's going to be where really Lermy's going to look to find more success on this Medusa on a more teamfight-oriented god. As Penny will be able to find the kill onto Zidru along with the help of Totable and Meneas.
Yeah, that rotation was fairly free with no wards from George Mason on the solo side of the map whatsoever. Zedru was just easy pickings, and now Penn State, they do have the kill advantage. However, the gold is still in George Mason's favor, while not enough to really say this game is swinging one way or the other.
Yeah, at this point, it is still a fairly even game. We find ourselves where we found ourselves last time around, and I think that the argument could be made that that is much better for Penn State this time around. They have that Zhang Kui on the table. They have this character that wants to get to the end game, and they have the Geb. While George Mason hasn't drafted a bad end game composition, not with the ROM and not with the Nike notably, it still is nice that for Penn State to get towards those later stages of the match. But still, I don't know if it's going to be really enough at this point. I mean, Zhang Kui finds himself so far behind. He's a level down against his opposing mid laner. But something that is nice is Meneas does have 4 stacks on that rank, does.
I mean, that's a very decent benefit. Once it finally comes online, it'll be all right. But Totable, while behind, another inherent problem with Zhang Kui is a very common combination is you find the Blink Cataclysm coming out from Gebs, and then your mages usually throw out those burst ultimates. Unfortunately, though, with a Zhang Kui, you don't really have the burst that you would be looking for. Meanwhile, over in the dual lane, there was a minor attempt at a gank. Nothing is going to come out of it just yet. But Lermy Wormy is maintaining lane pressure.
Yeah, it seems as though Havoc is just going to wait for the later stages of the game when he can really start boxing it out with Lermy to come online, as opposed to playing aggressive like he did last time, and then all of a sudden 4 people are in his lane. He wants to avoid that situation from happening again. As so far, everybody seems content to farm, and these are 2 very late game team compositions. You do have people like the Poseidon, like the Medusa, or like the Awelish, I should say, inside of Penn State. Those 2 characters will function better in the earlier stages of the game, but the later it goes, the better.
Havoc, though, this time he is going to be getting forced into that ultimate, and buddy, you are just going to... Actually, he's going to get out because the rotation and the ward coverage from Penn State is enough to ensure that they are scared enough to just head on out of there. One thing I was going to mention, which unfortunately went away, is there was approximately 0 damage dealt by Lermy Wormy before about 20 seconds ago. As it looks like my co-commentator is going to be chilling. Yet again, we do have Penn State. They are going to be go ahead and making sure that they can secure their jungle camps, make sure they are not going to be invaded quite yet. As a 3-man grouping over by George Mason might lead to this Gold Fury being started up, and the only one who's able to really rotate over here right on time is Lermy Wormy. 2 others are on their way, along with a 3rd straggler coming from behind. Gold Fury is going to be leashed, and the vision, unfortunately, is going to be for Penn State. Starkey, you are dead. Still, no commentator status. Single commentator status.
Hello. What's up?
Hey, well, look at that. Hey, what? It's J-Mac. It's J-Mac. What's up?
How you doing?
Hey, all right. So we do have another commentator here with me. Actually, we are prepared here at AVGL, if nothing else.
Yeah, more than anything, we always come prepared for some kind of Havoc. However, Havoc gonna be ganked out. Lurmy Wormy has the dot onto him. The jump is gonna be a little bit off the mark, but Lurmy Wormy gonna be able to pick up Havoc. He wasn't prepared.
Now,
he was not.
Gold Fury hasn't been taken quite yet. What a shift, you know? Just jumping straight from G-Stinks to J-Mac. It's like waking up on Christmas morning wondering what you got, and then, oh, it's J-Mac. Life sucks.
Well, time to go to Walmart and return that. It's like expecting like one of those battleships when you're a kid, like the big old 10-foot battleship, and then you open it up and it's like a rubber duck, and you're just like, well, I guess this is something. But right now, Penn State currently just about dead even with George Mason. There's really no gold lead between them. Penn State is up 5-2 at the moment. And honestly, experience lead just about the same wave to wave. So for all intents and purposes, it's dead even at 10.5 minutes.
Yeah, and as mentioned earlier by the commentator that has gone missing, this is going to be beneficial for Penn State. Get Totable into that late game. Make sure, as he is Zhang Kui, he doesn't fall too far behind early, as George Mason is nowhere to be found, as Gold Fury's already at half health, and it looks like Penn State is going to confirm this for free.
Yep, that's what they need. They need to try and catapult themselves forward, as they do have some very strong gods going into the later stage of the game. Geb just gets that much better. More damage on that ultimate, more percentage damage, I should say. It's not like true damage on the ultimate. Manice is going to be able to get a lot more gravity surges off because their cooldown is going to be a lot shorter. And Penny's going to be able to provide a lot more CC and a lot more healing for his team as the later stages go on. And more than anything, Zhang Kui is just going to be tankier and be able to deal out a little bit more damage, survive more fights, and really try and negate what this Kraken could do from Just My Luck.
Oh yeah, I forgot you were the person who mentioned how Zhang Kui was a good pick to go into Poseidon, and I guess, technically it's working, as Totable does have the level lead. I mean, at the very least, he does have the level lead. Zhang Kui, I can't say I'm a big fan of him, man. It's super hard for me to get behind it, because every time I play that god, it's in Assault, and nobody on my team will trade with me.
I mean, the thing with Zhang Kui is, as I heard you mention earlier, there's no follow-up with a Zhang Kui. It's not like you get, a Cataclysm into an I'm a Monster, or a Cataclysm into a Raw Snipe. You get a Cataclysm into some more sustained poke. You get the card thrown out. You might get the Exorcism in order to get a little bit of extra damage. But for the most part, you're going for the sustained team fight. You're going for we're just going to run down and try and hold people in Totable's range.
So, as the trend has been going for Penn State here, they have been kind of building up a very small hill of a lead. They're just kind of, slowly going up on those charts and making sure that they can maintain. The goal difference has kind of been jumpy, but experience-wise, they've been kind of on the steady rise, and I expect that their goal right now is going to be make sure Penny doesn't get picked off, make sure that Totable doesn't get picked off, get into the late game, and get good picks to lead to fairly easy objectives with a comp like this.
Yeah, I mean, their gold lead for the most part has been dead even since they took that Gold Fury. Nothing has changed. They haven't been able to outfarm the opponent by too much. They've just kind of been there. Good Whirlpool is going to stop Manice just for a little bit. One thing to note is picking Wheelish into Poseidon. I don't recall if it was picked before or afterward, but when you pick up into Wheelish, you have to be very careful about those Poseidons, because it is two abilities to cripple. Hold that. Star Key is going to get pulled in by the Gravity Surge. Totable is going to be able to pick up that kill, get a little bit of extra leveling onto that Zhang Kui, and now F Diddy is going to be erased.
F Diddy going to fall, and the rotation from Havoc has come in, but he is completely turned on, forced to roll away, run away as fast as he can to not fall. Starkey thought that he could just walk by Meneas. He was like, well, I'm a Guardian. I'm pretty far into the mid game, as we do see Just My Luck going to just barely be able to make it out. Zedru does not have the same luck as Wiggles. On that, Geb picks up the kill.
That was a little bit of miscommunication from Just My Luck there. He got knocked up by Menace, but did not get the communication from his team that, hey, the Gravity Surge is down, and he forced that Purification Beads out. Very scared play there. Now, because of that, Penn State has the advantage. They're going to be able to try and go for this Gold Fury, and Starkey is the only one in the area, but he's not going to be able to stop that one. First Portal Demon of the game goes towards Penn State.
And, we've seen most of the Portal Demons go their way. Actually, it was George Mason who got most of them. I'm sorry, it's just these teams' names are just so absolutely similar. They have at least 2 of the same vowels, and then it's hard to not get confused, as this tier 1 tower over in the dual lane is going to fall for Penn State. So George Mason, they are not just going to let things go away without any kind of repercussions. They are going to pick up the tier 1 tower and these Oracle Harpies.
Yeah, George Mason just trying to do little things to keep them in this game, but the big difference right now is Just My Luck on Poseidon is 2 levels behind the Zhang Kui. That's a level in his ultimate, but as well a relic, a huge power spike when these level 12 relics start coming online. Because he doesn't have access to that and his purification is down, he doesn't have any other means of escape. No no Aegis Amulet, no Heavenly Wings, whatever he may want to go to, he does not have access to that.
One thing that I love to see while casting and hate to see while playing is Just My Luck is building into Fortified Scepter, which if I do know the item tree, it's going to be heading into Gem of Isolation. And what an annoying item to face, but what a good item for Poseidon.
I mean, it's basically a core item on Poseidon in this season. Fatalis may be an item short to follow, as people are just like, hey, you're really slow, and now I'm even faster. One comment that was made earlier was that Poseidon was mostly picked up for that movement speed. It's still relevant now, especially with the Fatalis, but over in the left-hand side, the Petrification was forced out. Rom's going to go up into the air. F. Diddy's just trying to chase out. Good Meditation is going to keep Lurmy alive, but not enough. Marvels comes out in the inner Havoc here. He's going to be able to take down Nice as well. F. Diddy getting credit for that kill, and now Wiggles is forced to run.
Gold Fury is going to be started up. Havoc is going to rotate over after an incredible save coming out from Just My Luck and Starkey. They rotate in just in time. Wiggles is in. He has full health, full mana, and a shield. He is going to try to steal this, and George Mason will confirm it. Totable has rotated in. He's throwing out that ultimate. He's trying to get as much damage as possible, but he is sprinting around like a madman, and F. Diddy is going to fall to an auto attack.
Totable able to get that auto at maximum range and finish him off. One thing that you note there is the Heavenly Wings was popped. That's because he wants to ensure that the Sentinel of Zeus wasn't keeping him from chasing down the team. It was used at that point. Heavenly Wings going to make sure that he is no longer able to be slowed by that, or at least at the initial pop of it. That's one of the strengths of Zhang Kui, however, is he's not able to be knocked up during his ultimate, which is kind of a little bit of a counter towards F. Diddy in that situation.
We are going to have both these teams backing up, trying to confirm farm. Wiggles Debate is going to be looking to see if there's anybody to gank in that mid lane, but I guess there was some miscommunication as he was rolling into the wall, waiting to get the knockback from his one. Nobody was even in lane. He was just trying to all right, who am I gonna gank? Who am I gonna gank? Minion 32, I'm coming after you.
Yeah, right now they're trying to go for Zidryu as he's been pulled in by Minice, but Penny was on the rotation, but Penny's CC is completely down at the moment. Does have the dash to get the root on, but it's not going to do anything in that situation. Big miscommunication from Penn State.
And there is a rotation coming out from F. Diddy. He is here, but I don't believe that he can do too much. And while you did call the miscommunication overall, the play coming out, Wiggles Debay and Meneas just being able to get the knock-up into the Wheelix pool, I can never do that. I suck at this game, and the fact that they got that just amazes me.
Yeah, I mean, that was good communication on their part to be able to notice that, seeing, hey, the knockup's coming through, I got that ultimate online, let's go ahead and try and get something. But because Penny didn't have any of their CC online, they didn't have a root, they didn't have a stun to try and hold them a little bit longer. And honestly, it probably wouldn't have made too much of a difference, as it is a very tanky Bellona, has that Pestilence online to give them the 80 magical protection that would have been really more than enough to get away from these 2 magical guardians chasing them down.
If this were any other season, if this were an earlier season, I would call the item build, not the builds themselves, but some of the item pickups coming out from George Mason. Cheese, as we do see, there's the Thorns coming out, 2 Thorns, 2 Frostbound Hammers, and Gem of Isolation coming out. If I was facing this, I would be insta-tilted.
I mean, the Wing Blade, right now I'm looking at 3 members of this team who need to pick up a Wing Blade in order to just negate some of these slows, especially because Totable has the slow built into his kit when he throws out that card. It's just something you really are going to need. Lurmy's able to pop it whenever she uses her Petrification as well if you're turned around. So honestly, Wingblade's what's going to be needed, but Havoc going to need to be careful. Petrification comes out, a great Aegis is going to prevent the damage from it, but he's just going to try and box it out. Knows he can't get away and is going to fall.
I can't completely agree with that. Aegis, none of his teammates were around to save him, and he was essentially guaranteed dead. He was going to get slowed. There were 2 people against him, one of them being Wheelix. So, if anything, that Aegis was just a waste of a cooldown to save him. Portal Demon has been started up by George Mason. The rotation is coming out from Totable and Wiggles, but the Portal Demon is going to be very low. The Kraken comes out, but it is going to go to Penn State.
Yeah, Penn State's going to be able to steal that one away. Not only that, Zidru on the run, not able to get away from Nice as the minions are going to finish him off from the damage sustained onto him. Penn State now with the advantage going to start pushing up this tier 1 tower, and a great ultimate by Penny to make sure that they can get their team into the fight much faster.
All the while, Wormy pushing down that dual lane tier 2 tower, going to pick that up, going to pick up this purple buff and red buff more than likely while he's at it, clearing out the enemy for all they've got. FDD is rotated in, and with nobody else on his team, Wormy is going to opt to back away and make the safe play and make sure he doesn't get picked off.
Yeah, right now, Zhongkui's coming up a lot stronger than this Poseidon in this matchup, mostly because Zhongkui doesn't necessarily need a lot of damage. His poke is very sustained, it's dot-oriented, you just kind of need to apply it just to be, more than anything, be annoying. Poseidon, however, he needs levels, he needs items, otherwise his Krakens are essentially going to be useless. You saw it in that last fight, he got a 2-man Kraken, but didn't do anything.
Honestly, it was just kind of damage that wasn't effective. Oracle Harpies have been started up. The first one is going to go the way of Penn State, and the second one is also going to fall. Penn State does pick up the vision while they are trying to aggress throughout some CCs, see what they can pick up. Gold Fury has just spawned, but it doesn't look like any real aggression is going to come out unless some ganks come out into this mid lane. Now, one thing I really wish I could just see whenever a team picks up the Portal Demon is I wish the opposing team would just sit there and chill and wait to get a free pick whenever someone comes through. That's my favorite thing to see.
Oh, I mean, we got to see that last week, but hold on to that thought as over in the side. Kraken's going to come out, not really going to connect onto anybody. Only person who got hit by it was Penny. The chase is on, and Nice is going to be able to pick up F. Diddy in the backline. And now Havoc is being turned on to 5 members strong from Penn State. The root is good. The auto is going to secure that one. Wormy picks up the second kill of the fight. Zidru is going to get knocked, gun to get yanked, and not going to be able to get away from this one. Nice gets the 3rd kill and the unofficial double.
Starkey is still being chased as Manias is going to pick up a double kill. Starkey is going to fall. Gold Fury is not the call because they immediately did a complete 180. Penn State is heading towards the Fire Giant. Just My Luck has spotted out, but honestly, with Kraken down and with a level disadvantage, he doesn't have anything he can do. He's going to sit here and clear mid wave and wait for the Fire Giant barrage to come at him.
And he knows that there's nothing that he can do there. As you said, Kraken is down for about another 40 seconds. There's just nothing he's going to be able to offer to this Fire Giant except his life to the enemy team. Penn State going to be able to pick up this Fire Giant. All going to elect here to pick up a couple of buffs, and then get back into this team fight. And if you look at some of the item choices on Brawler's Beatstick, was picked up by Manice. They're going to be able to now go back and sell that Bumba's Mask and pick up their new item with the double mask start. Now they're going to elect to get rid of that, go towards what will be a Titan's Bane. Just get a little bit of extra damage for them. Zhongkui able to pick up the Spear of the Magus, which honestly is not going to do too much. It's going to be able to shred a few protections for his damage, but the other Guardians on his team aren't really the damage-oriented type.
This is Penn State's game to lose. And if there's one thing that I wouldn't be expecting to say, it's one game or one team's game to lose when they have a Zhongkui and a jungler with Rongda's mask. That is not something I can expect.
I mean, here's the thing about Rongda's mask. It's not a bad item. It's just a hard item to actually be able to fully utilize. It's one that you pick up, and it's a very high risk, high reward. And he's going to get yanked into the back, but it's not going to matter. They're going to be able to just dash through. 4-man Cataclysm in the back. Petrification's not going to do anything, and really the team fight is just scattering. Totable's trying to get as much damage as he can. Zidria is going to get yanked by the Wheelish ultimate. Thorns are proccing right now. Manice going to be able to pick up the first one. Kraken not going to connect, and Starkey may be the next to fall.
Starkey getting very low, is going to get rooted, is going to fall to Penny. Wiggles is in a bad spot. Meneas is going to jump on Havoc. Just by luck has just been relaxing the backline. Havoc is going to fall. F Diddy is going to be next, and Just My Luck is the last one, calling for the D side. This right side Phoenix is down, and if I think that this is going to be game.
Yeah, Penn State is going to be able to push into this Titan. Nice, this game on the Zoelish has been playing phenomenal. Has picked up 5 kills. No, I believe they picked up 6 kills in just the last 2 team fights. And It's all thanks to the extra benefits of that Rongda's Mask. While not the staple item that would have gotten it, the extra cooldown, the extra movement speed that it provides has really been helping. And that's going to allow Penn State the 20-4 24-minute victory.
Okay. George Mason did actually win the last game too, so I believe this is the very first time I have casted a set with AVGL where it goes 1-1 and not 2-0.
Actually, last season on Loomside's team, I believe it was Midwest Masters had a game 3 that you and D-Syncs got to be a part of.
Yeah, but games I cast with D-Syncs don't count because he's bad.
Oh, you're right. I mean, he's not even here. So Penn State able to pick up the game this time, and now it's going to be 1-1, and this will be the make or break game for them. Game 3 is going to decide who's getting first place in the division and who is going to be taking second. Like we said, unless some crazy stuff happens, this will likely be the deciding factor for the Japanese division. Do you have any thoughts for Penn State or for George Mason going into this next game?
They're really going to need to learn to play around the opposition. They expected to be able to go in with essentially what their plan was last game. Get Havoc big, get them going, and throw them at the enemy team. But unfortunately, level 17, 1-4, not going to be able to pull that off. So George Mason really needs to change their game plan, change their composition up just a little bit, and they can pull this away from Penn State.
Yeah, and we will be back in just a moment with the 3rd game of the set, so do not go away. You don't want to miss this action.
Everything changes.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the ABGL Smite League. I am Bryce LPs, and with me here, I have not Desinks, a.k.a. J-Muck Tacker, a.k.a. J-Mac Tucker, and we are in Game 3 of George Mason versus Penn State University.
Probably one of the hardest fought matchups between these two right now. Penn State was able to pick up the win in Game 2 to bring it to the division-deciding Game 3. We'll see how they're able to perform. Before we get too much further, we do still have a 400 gem giveaway. Be sure to buy your tickets to have a chance to win that because you want to buy some of the sweet skins that have come out. Looking at the bans, however, Terra has been taken off the board by George Mason this time around, as well as Thoth, and the Execute God Thanatos and the Hugbug Kepri taken away by Penn State.
I just wish I could see Thanatos be played at one point, man. He's such a cool god, and seeing him not be able to be played at whatsoever, it's just like, go ahead and nerf him so people can pick him again. Just not too hard, please. Sylvanas going to be the first pick for George Mason. Penn State hovering on Medusa and Awilix, going to lock it in last game. It worked out really well for them, and hopefully they can get the rerun.
I mean, they'll be able to get the rerun aside from the Terra this time around, which they could easily sub out for somebody like a Sobek to be able to really supplement this with Wheelix. They could still go for a Geb if they wish to. I wouldn't really like to see the Jean Quay this time around. While it didn't do bad last game, it fell behind early, picked itself back up, pretty much nullified any Krakens that were hit onto because of those passive protections as well as the protection doubling from the ultimate. Kind of negated everything Poseidon did, but that's because Just My Luck was not really able to do anything last time around. Instead, he's going to like to go back to this Isis pickup.
And Havoc is actually going to be playing Apollo this time instead of going the Rama, which we've seen the past two games, successful the first, not very the second. And Apollo, very, very level hunter, has the wave clear, has amazing map control with his ultimate, and all around very strong hunter. We'll see how Havoc will be able to perform on this. What do you expect from Totable here?
From Totable against Isis, honestly, there are so many strong gods like Zeus still available. I don't know how he even got all the way up to this point.
Wow.
I don't know why George Mason didn't even think, oh, we have Sylvanas Zeus available. Let's go and take that. So instead, the God of Thunder is going to be taken on the side of Penn State.
If Odin doesn't get banned here by Penn State, I suspect George Mason might be looking to go into it, get that circle of protection into Odin Ring, but they are actually going to ban it away themselves, understanding that only Apollo so far in the draft can get rid of it, and with a very long charge up ultimate as well. Geb also going to be banned on the other side, Humbot's Nemesis.
Yeah, very smart Geb ban there. Don't want to give a Wheelish any potential to get a passive knockup of their own. But this does still leave some very strong solo lane warriors who can get knockup. Hercules is still available.
Hercules.
I mean, the champion of Rome still available. Tyr is on the board. Sun Wukong, Vamana, all gods who can really utilize the knockup and try and help out
wow.
here. Kumbhakarna going to be hovered on, and while he does have more of a banish than a knockup with that epic uppercut, if anybody lands down below under his target, they will be knocked up and can be pulled in by a Wheelish. So kind of going for the counter play here if they decide to lock this one in.
Hi-Res, can we finally get the buff to Kumbhakarna's Groggy Strike where he actually knocks players up for 3 seconds?
Can we not? Can we just get it to where Groggy Strike is actually a confirmable ability and not something where he goes, hey, God, it's worse than the washing machine.
Well, to be fair, though, if you're in range and they don't have CC to stop it, the ability is almost impossible to miss.
You've obviously never played enough Assault games.
All right, listen, just because you're playing with bad teammates doesn't mean the god's ability.
Fair enough.
It's a bad ability. It's just, it's easily confirmable in a certain situation. Still being hovered here is finally going to be locked in. Kumbhakarna, I mean, has to be support, really. I don't see this going into the solo lane.
No, the only times I've ever seen it played solo was kind of in more of stomp games more than anything else. And sometimes the teams who picked it kind of got a little bit stomped. Hercules, however, was still available, not locked in. They're going to take that one away, not giving Wheelish any potential pick opportunities with that one. And they're going to hover in the little bitty Ratatasker, a god who was the most broken thing in existence. Nobody wanted to ever deal with it. And then Hi-Rez nerfed him, and nobody wanted to ever see him because if you saw him, it meant, well, you might as well just F6 your game. And now he's kind of come back as this somewhat more balanced assassin.
I miss the days of Thor. But now we got Ratataskers and Thanatos everywhere, or Hoombots. Just give me back Mjolnir, and I'll be fine. I know how to get the double tap. That's all I got to do. Ratatasker, though, he's a little enjoyable. When he first came out, I was like, I'm going to get this god the diamond. And then I played him once, and I was like, I'm going to master this god, and I might be done. Arachne, though, is going to be the pick for George Mason.
Wow. This is not a pick that I was expecting in any way, shape, or form a player other than Kiki So Chiki or Man Ray to really ever pick up. These are the two players that I have seen pick up Arachne and do well with. In all of my casting, I've seen Man Ray and Kiki So Chiki, and I never even casted one of Kiki's games. I just merely saw it solo. In response, the solo lane Cabrakan is going to be picked up to go against this Hercules. That's going to be going over to Penny. Arachne, though, we really need to talk about Arachne because last time we saw Nemesis picked up by George Mason, something that both of you guys were very down about. Arachne, while, not at the same
well, here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? Okay. What you do is Arachne is you go behind the wall, you plant your babies, and you pull them. Wait. Oh, wait, this isn't season 1. My bad. You can't pull them through the wall anymore. We gotta... This time, Arachne is going to be just an interesting pick because while she does have a lot of movement and mobility, she doesn't have a lot of easily confirmable damage or pressure that can be thrown around the map, especially against the likes of somebody like a Wheelix and against a god like Zeus in the mid lane.
I mean, the big thing that Arachne has for her is her very early game presence because slows are such a huge thing when nobody has movement speed. Arachne, if she can get that web out on somebody, has very strong chase down potential if she does gain bonus movement speed while walking on her webs. That's going to allow her to chase down somebody like a Wheelish who may not have that mobility online just yet, chase down a Zeus who has no mobility, but at the same time, if you're getting that close to a Zeus, you're probably going to die.
I mean, that's pretty true. I'd like to also talk about the Cabrakan pick, seeing as how this is more than likely going to go solo. Solo Cabrakan versus Hercules, while the wave clear is definitely in Hercules' favor. Gank potential coming out from the rest of Cabrakan's team is going to be very beneficial with the lockdown potential that Cabrakan has. It's very hard to confirm damage against the Hercules. He heals it all back up if you let him move around for too long. And being able to shut him down and keep him in one position for a long time is going to be very beneficial overall. But with that, we're going to go ahead and cut into a short break before we get into Game 3 of what will determine the first seed in the Japanese division. So stick around and we'll be right back.
will feast upon your soul.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Game 3, George Mason University versus Penn State University. I am Bryce L. Pease. With me here, I have J. Mac Tucker, and this is a very important game.
Yeah, this is a very important game. This is what's going to determine first and second seed. While both of these teams are guaranteed to be able to move forward on into the round-robin stage for the gauntlet, this will honestly just kind of give bragging rights. Like, hey, we were the better team. You know, we won this set, so we got a much better shot. But honestly, going up into this one, this is less important for the gauntlet as opposed to just pure bragging rights.
Honestly, it's always nice to have something like, hey, man, remember that time we beat you in that game that determined our seed? And guess whose seed is better, son? It's ours, as George Mason is going to be getting these mid-camps, trying to be throwing out that pressure that they have, but actually they are not going to be able to move in too hard, as they are going to just go straight for the fire elemental. Yeah.
Arachne was able to place down those spiders a little bit earlier on into the game to make sure that they had some form of extra wave clear there. Placed them a little bit high, kind of had to backpedal back into them, but eventually are able to clear that one out. One thing we didn't mention was both of the hunters have been left alone to kind of farm at their own accord here. Lermy Wormy does have the advantage right now, has already procced level 3. CM Havoc, however, just now hitting into level 3, so a couple of creeps behind, not too big in the early stage.
One thing we saw last game that we see yet again this game that did work out for Penn State is this Rangda's Mask pickup on a Wheelix. And I personally can't really get myself to agree with it, but what works. Starkey going to take a huge chunk of his health. Luckily, though, he is Sylvanas. He is going to be able to sustain himself, as it looks like the Oracle Harpies are going to be the goal Penn State is looking to go after.
Yeah, it's kind of just trading off the one side of the map's objective for the other one. The Gremlins for the Oracle Harpies. I prefer the Oracle Harpies for the extra vision, spot out rotations. Penn State able to pick that one up. George Mason a little bit slow to that one, but no harm, no foul. They're going to be able to go back, maybe clear up their buffs, or just like to go back to farming their waves.
Yeah, it's really interesting because there is a little bit of aggression coming out from F Diddy moving into the opposing jungle, but this game has kind of been slower than we've seen the past couple of games. There have been early picks, and it's not really something you expect to see. Maybe there might be some nerves coming out, some really passive play to make sure they get farmed, they don't get picked off, because they understand how important this game is to them.
But George Mason does need to be aware that this is an ISIS. Going towards the later stages will start falling off. The damage is not going to be, it's not going to be neglectable, because as we saw in the first game, Spirit Ball at max range was chunking for half of people's HP bars. But it's going to be a lot easier just to jump on top of ISIS in the late stage. You have more protections. You have more ways of getting rid of them.
We do have Penn State 3-man rotation over to these fire elementals. Looks like it was spotted out, as the 3 members of George Mason are also going to be rotating over here. A little bit of a fight might be starting up as Wiggles. It was the target. Totable does have the spiders on him. A good mez is going to come out, but Totable is still being jumped on. Beads have been popped. Totable is getting chased in the back line, but the disengage is going to come out from F Diddy. Totable forced to back up just a little bit.
I mentioned earlier that Arachne getting this close to a Zeus was dangerous. At the same time, if she can keep her spiders alive, they will soak up some of those chain lightning bounces to be able to neglect a lot of the damage that Zeus has to put on. Now, when it gets into the late stage, chain lightning is going to absolutely one-shot those spiders. There's not going to be any survival, but it's going to take 2 charges away, and that might just be what they need in order to get close into this Zeus. Now looking for a possible rotation here as they have hit level 5. Maybe you try to pick up Wiggles here. Said Totable is going to be the target of this root, but Spirit Ball is going to be off the mark, and that's going to be the end of that one.
Maneus rotating in, making sure his mid lane doesn't get overtaken too hard. F Diddy does get plucked. He is going to be jumped in. It looks like we do have the slow-mo actually coming out. Oh, there's still charges. But Totable's out of mana. The cooldown will not be up in time, and Diddy's just going to barely get away.
And Starkey's going to be flung up into the air, and Wiggle's going to claim the life of the first one. Havoc's rotated in. Meditation's going to be good to keep them alive, however, and Penn State's going to be walking away for the time being. If Wiggles isn't careful, he may be picked off. Spirit Ball is good. A couple more in-hands will do it, but he does still have the Sleepy passive, and they need to be careful of that.
Rotation from Hercules, not going to be moving into the mid lane, opting instead to go into that speed buff over on the enemy side of the jungle. And poor Penny, man, I can feel his patience. He is just waiting. He's like, all right, I just gotta not lose my lane. I gotta clear my wave the best that I can, wait for my team to come gank. And unfortunately, against somebody like a Hercules, he's just kind of chilling and not able to clear as well.
Yeah, especially because Kraken has to use those tremors more than anything to stack up those minions, then use that refraction shield. And the longer that he holds tremors, the more mana he's going to consume. And while he does have that blue buff, it's not going to quite be enough during it, as those tremors do take a lot of mana to use.
I thought Penn State just took the Portal Demon, but they took just the big minion inside of the Portal Demon thing, and I was like, wait a minute. Something's wrong here. Something's not quite right.
I mean, it's a really long leash for that one. Like, you have to basically be out of the jungle to get rid of it, thing.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. As we do see these Oracle Harpies are going to be taken by Penn State. They're just making sure they can confirm all of these neutral objectives, and they are slowly but surely trying to build up a gold lead against George Mason.
But at the time, it's only sitting at about 200 gold, which is really just kind of wave to wave. The First Blood gold is kind of been nullified right now. Normally, First Blood is where you would see the big jump, but with it only being actually dead even right now, it's not going to be too much. Three-man rotation over onto Zidru. Going to miss that pluck. Manice is going to try and do something here. Penny charging forward with that slow immunity. The ultimate has come out. The driving strike is going to go their direction, but going to get yanked because of that knockup. Zidru is going to fall.
I mentioned it earlier, the shutdown potential coming up from Kraken gave the rest of his team time to rotate in. They confirmed the kill, and all of a sudden, Zedru, he is no more. Penny has advantage in this lane, but you rotate the solo, you lose the Gold Fury, and George Mason is going to live up to those wise words.
And what better god to utilize it with than the Isis, but she's going to get knocked up, and just my luck no longer has that luck. Chain Lightning going to bounce off of that Aegis shield from the Zeus. Gonna actually force the ultimate out of F. Diddy.
He did that to... I'm not sure. I can't explain exactly why he did that. He did it and then immediately jumped onto the camps. He may have suspected that somebody... poor F. Diddy. I'm just watching him trying to clear this camp. And he's just having the hardest time of his life. Meanwhile, though, mid lane, Zedru going to pick up Maneus as a very greedy dive under the tower leads to F. Diddy's rotation. Wiggles to Bay is going to get jumped on. F. Diddy is going to force that sleepy passive in the meantime, and Starkey is going to pick it up.
Yeah, and that's now going to force Totable to continue walking back. Does still have those purification beads, so can sit safely under this tower, but needs to be careful. There are 3 very strong CC members on the side of George Mason. Looking at this tier 1 tower, looks like they may actually just try and fully commit onto this one, take it down. Sentry is going to take up the tower, but not for too long, and really not for naught, as he does have that mitigate wounds to heal him back up a bit.
Penn State, they were starting to build up a good little lead, but unfortunately, it's all gone to waste. F. Diddy is going to be forced into an Aegis. Unfortunately, 2 people are going to rotate over from George Mason. Penny is going to get hit by that Spirit Ball. Just My Luck is going to pick it up. The speed buff is going to be lost as well. Maneus is going to pull F. Diddy. I don't know if it's a good decision or not, though.
He's going to be able to pull F. Diddy, take down one. Maneus is forced to run away. However, Starkey getting chased down, going to be knocked up into the air by Willis Bay. And it's actually going to knock Zidru back up. Starkey forced to run away. Just My Luck with the circle of protection is going to be able to take down Total. And now it's Wiggles staring down 2 members of George Mason. Instead, they're going to elect to just go ahead and take this blue buff.
Penn State has completely thrown away the lead that they were trying to build. George Mason have a lead, while it is a small one. Zedru, though, everybody is playing the greedy game. One more wave, one more buff, one more kill. If we can get it, let's go for it. And unfortunately, they are getting it and then immediately losing themselves.
I mean, it was good communication there, because Wiggles was sitting there at that blue buff saying, okay, what's this Hercules going to do? And as soon as he saw the driving strike used to secure that buff, he communicated to his team, hey, Penny, there's no way for this Herc to get out. Let's go ahead and kill it. Penn State going to take those Oracle Harpies on their 3rd rotation here, and that's going to grant them a little bit more vision. While the Gold Fury is still down, it's going to be able to grant any kind of vision for early rotations or maybe a gank or 2.
George Mason is going to be able to pick up their own buffs here. It's kind of weird to see that in this new meta, as it seems like the jungles have been swapped. One team goes for one, the other team goes for something else, and now, you get your own buff. It's a nice feeling because it's like, wow, I didn't have to go to the enemy side of the jungle and risk my life just to be able to confirm that I have a little bit more mana.
Yeah, taking a look at the gold and experience, sitting at about 1,400 experience in favor of George Mason and 2,000 gold. While they're behind in kills, they've been doing very well in the farm department, being able to get this small lead for themselves. But Gank over here up on the top side, Knight's going to get stunned out, going to be forced to jump, but F Diddy going to go on to the Infinity Web and take him down.
Gold Fury not up quite yet, and even if it was, Penn State does have that vision on it. So George Mason, they are going to opt to just push this mid lane, head over to these mid camps, and potentially look at this Portal Demon.
Yeah, Portal Demon would be a good bait call right now. They're going to use F Diddy's spiders to try and provide a little bit of extra damage, as he himself has taken the aggro. Circle protection has been dropped, and they're going to guarantee that they're going to be able to secure this one. It's going to go their way. George Mason with a very early and a very quick Portal Demon.
And with a shuddering boom, everybody on the map suddenly knows, oh, Portal Demon's down. Looks like the George Mason actually picked that up. Meanwhile, Penn State, they are going to be trying to push over in this dual lane, but Lermy is going to get very low. Havoc has gone into the air. He is trying to see what he can get, and the ultimate is going to guarantee that Lermy gets solo.
I mean, that was just the case if he walked up to the wave at the wrong time, kind of was a little bit overzealous, but Zidryu going to be dropped the storm down. Totable's going to be able to pick that one up. It's now a 4v3. Make that 4v2. Starkey's thrown away from the team into the air, and he's going to fall. Nice going to pick that one up.
This solo lane is still being pushed down by 3 people on Penn State, and hopefully they'll be able to get this tower to make sure they don't keep falling behind. The lead for George Mason isn't too large. It's not irreparable, but Penn State needs to start getting some objectives or something around the map.
Havoc looking like he was trying to split push that tier 2 tower, but thought otherwise and said, just going to like to take these buffs. Was able to get T1 thanks to the solo kill that he got onto Lermy Wormy. Going to go ahead and steal that purple buff away, just leave it on the ground. Doesn't really need it at the time. Mid-wave, going to be going over to Just My Luck, who is farming a lot better this game, I would say.
Yeah, last time we saw it was just he was falling behind too easily, and now he's able to make sure that he stays with his team, as we do see the Gold Fury being started up here. Oracle Harpies as well. Oracle Harpies are going to go to George Mason, but now with the rotation coming out from Penn State, the Circle of Protection may just be too early. Penn State, they are going to be coming in. George Mason will confront it, but Just My Luck is going to fall. Zidryu is going to get back about 1 billion HP. Total is very low. Havoc is going to pick up Menace in the process, and FDD is going in the backline to see who he can find.
Yeah, F Diddy not going to be able to find anybody here. Instead, he's going to be trapped between a Kabrakan and a hard place. The wall is going to make sure that he cannot get away from that one. Lermy Wormy's going to pick that up. Havoc going to be stunned out. A great 3-man driving strike's going to throw against the wall, and Havoc smells blood. He's going to try and land down back into the fray, actually. Going to drop Wiggles down to the sleepy passive. Wormy's going to take up Starkey, but Havoc is going to drop Lermy Wormy. A couple more auto attacks will secure that kill. Ooh. Wiggles the Bay going to fall just barely able to get. That was
very close, man. Penny, though, you are going to be dead here in just a second. Driving strike not being used just yet. Although Totable, he's trying to deter him. Zedru's not going to be able to make it. The slow is going to be enough, and Penny is somehow going to get out.
Nice chasing them down. Does not have that Suku, though, however, for the extra chase, and that's going to make sure that they can get away from this one. George Mason, almost a little bit too greedy in that fight, but they have built a very strong lead for themselves now. 4,500 gold and almost 2,800 experience. It's going to be going their way.
I'm still in shock, man. How did Penny get out of that? Was driving strike down? Did I miss something?
It could have been the lack of mana. It could have been that driving strike was down. I mean, there's a lot of possibilities there, but Totable was able to be a very strong frontliner for some reason, as Zeus was just able to drop down that Aegis shield and deter them just because damage from Zeus hurts.
I mean, I guess that's a pretty simple way to put it, as in the solo lane, Zidru is going to be the targeted damage here. 3-man ultimate coming out from Sylvanas as Totable is going to be running away. Penny picks up F Diddy. Zedru picks up Totable in the backline. Meneas pulls Zedru to the best of his ability as the meditation does come out, but Zedru is going to fall anyways.
Mitigate wounds is not going to be enough, nor the meditation, as you do have to wait a little while for the extra bit of healing to come through. It's going to end up being a 2-for-1 exchange, exchanging the solo and jungle for the mid laner. Not quite worth at this stage, but right now, CM Havoc trying to split push this duo lane yet again. Force Lermy Wormy to stay here because the one benefit that Havoc has on this Apollo over Medusa is his ability to get into team fights.
Can we talk about the insane farm that's come out from Havoc, by the way? He's level 17.
Yeah.
He's level 17. The closest one to him is his other ADC, the Lermy, 15.
I mean, welcome to the ADC's farm, the solo lane. I mean, this is now the new solo lane meta. Is duo lane is solo lane. You want your hunters to be able to get online as quick as possible, get the items that they want to make sure that when it comes to the late game, they are your one true carries.
As this Portal Demon is going to be coming back up very soon, George Mason is starting to form a wall of bodies around it. They are ready to start this up as soon as it comes back. Penn State, though, they're not ready to give it up quite yet as their team is rotating in. This is going to be the first, I think, full 5v5 team fight we've seen, as many of them have been fragmented before.
Yeah, they need to make sure that they can peel for the Zeus, keep him alive as long as possible. Is now level 12, does have that second relic online, and all relics are back off of cooldown for him at the moment. So if they can keep Totable alive, they can really do some damage in these games. Right now, the Portal Demon leashing game is coming out from George Mason. They're just looking for the first big engagement, but Penny's ultimate wasted and on cooldown.
Penny is going to be getting ulted in the backline. Starkey is very low. Totable is being chased out by Zedru, and this team fight is completely split up as Starkey is going to be knocked up, pulled out of the circle of protection, is not going to fall quite yet, going to get healed as Meneas does pick him up. He is now in a dangerous spot. Zedru getting very low, does have the thorns, is going to fall to Totable. The knockup has come out. Havoc is going to pick up Meneas, but Wiggles picks up F Diddy in the meantime.
And CM Havoc continuing to pump out those auto attacks into the enemy team, but to no avail. 3 members are down for George Mason compared to only 1 on the side of Penn State. They're just trying to buy time for the Hercules to come back alive, but doesn't have that teleport online. Just currently trying to get that Portal Demon. CM is going to see if he can do anything about it. Spirit Ball from the back,
He stole it! How did oh no, unfortunately, just my luck throws the hopeful Spirit Ball into the fray, and he just barely steals it. Totable, he popped his damage too early. He should have waited just a little bit. Starkey, holy crap, he just barely missed that route onto Totable. If he would have gotten that, immediately Totable would have fallen, and now Fire Giant is being started, and nobody on Penn State is ready to stop this.
Lermy Wormy doesn't have ultimate online yet. All they can do is try and pump out a few auto attacks. F Diddy, however, is getting very low. He's going to have to use that Infinity Web very soon to get away. Going to fall. Fire Giant claims the first life in this team fight. And George Mason, while they will secure the Fire Giant, has already lost 1 member. Are they going to lose any more?
Well, Just My Luck has ran away as far as he can go. Zedru is going to pick up Meneas in a turn of events as Starkey is going to fall here to Lermy Wormy. Havoc is the next one to be looked at, but with the damage coming out and the extra damage from Fire Giant, Penn State, they don't really have an option to move in against this.
No, they're just going to have to back off for now. Maybe force down this solo lane tower. It wouldn't be a bad idea. Get a little bit of extra gold for the team as they are sitting almost 5,500 gold down. That's going to stabilize here shortly down to 5,000 with that tower dropping. But Penn State's not out of it right now. They just need to, once again, make sure that Totable stays alive in fights. Try and lock down some of these teams into the ultimate.
As the game is going to be paused, I'd like to mention that with all the steals that we've seen this game, I'm surprised that Fire Giant was not stolen. It was so low. Penn State, they made their way over there. They had some damage, but they didn't have the timing. George Mason, they picked it up. They only have 3 members with it, but if there's any 3 members you would care to have it, it's definitely Havoc, Luck, and Zedru.
Your 2 big carries and your strong frontliner who already has that built-in sustain, now going to have even more, plus the damage boost that you're going to get. CM Havoc in the best position possible right now with that Fire Giant for his team. Just My Luck, going to be able to get some extra damage online. If you see what he's picked up, it's the Ethereal Staff. The kind of weaker version of Soul Reaver as far as what it does immediately, but in the long run, he's going to be able to sustain poke down the enemy team with that 5% extra damage from their max HP. It is mitigatable, but that's still an extra, 2 or 3% depending on who's going to get hit that you're just getting for free.
I'm still not sure quite the reason for the pause. It doesn't look like anybody has DC'd, at least on my end. So, taking a look at these items, yet again, we do see Penny picking up that Sunder. He's picked it up, I believe, if not just once, I believe he's picked it up all 3 games. And Sunder on Cabrakan, he has about 80 billion stuns, and a very easy way to confirm his Sunder off of those stuns. So making sure that he can combo easily with that and benefit his team is going to be pivotal in these team fights, but it hasn't really been utilized to the extent that we'd like to see, as George Mason has really been winning these team fights overall.
And it's really because they haven't been locking anybody down yet. He's been kind of using that ultimate. It hasn't really come to any avail right now. They want to try and stop somebody inside of the storm if possible, or if they're about to run out of the storm, trap them in it with the ultimate. Make sure that they now cannot run away from the storm. And really, that's been the name of the game. Is while these kills are showing that they're in favor of Penn State, these team fights have been very sloppy on them as far as George Mason as well. They're just not getting what they want. CM Havoc isn't quite online just yet. Needs a couple extra items to really be able to start taking down these tanky Guardians.
And even then, Havoc, without being online, he's still ahead of everybody else in the game. He's been farming so well. We haven't seen him get picked off quite yet. And unfortunately for Penn State, they haven't really been prioritizing the right things here. They get a pick, and all of a sudden they're like, all right, we should do this. We should get another pick, or we should do this. And it immediately gets countered as the game is going to be coming to an unpause here. Luckily for us, we are not going to have to stall any longer.
Yeah. Gold Fury has been started up by George Mason. No one on the side of Penn State has even recognized that this is happening. No ultimates needed to secure it, nothing like that. Just a free Gold Fury and free Oracles going the way of George Mason. That's now going to put them at 6,800 gold in the lead.
And they're going to try to continue to build this up. As we have seen, their focus has been more so on farming than winning these team fights. And or even while not getting as many kills, they have been more so dominant in the correct team fights. The wins that they get are more effective because they are getting what comes after the team fights. They're getting objectives, as we do see a 4-man rotation coming out to Zedru. The wall is effective. The stun is next, and Zedru gets burned down faster than I've seen any other Hercules.
I don't think that was a possible thing in any other situation for Hercules just to immediately disappear like that. But it's kind of the downside of Hercules into Cabrakan is Hercules doesn't have a jump. He doesn't have the ability to walk through a wall unless he has a phantom. So if you can actually catch him dead end on the wall, there's no way for him to get out. All he can do is use his driving strike to kind of push them away. But when there's 4 of them, it's a little bit harder.
Look at this rotation. There's 4 people rotating to the duo lane, but good communication from George Mason is going to say, hey, there's 4, 5 people coming your way. You need to get out of there. But even with 2 people backing to not get caught out, Penn State, they're like, hey, this is still our tier 1 tower.
Yeah, I mean, they're just going to go ahead and take that one. A little bit of a potential engagement here. FDD's going to run forward with Starkey slowly behind him, but the entire team of Penn State just going to go ahead and back off of this one. Start going back to base. There's really nothing to gain for them on this side of the map anymore. Now that this tier 1 tower is down, sure, there's the tier 2, but with the entire team of George Mason coming back, there's no reason to be pushing it. There's no buffs to take. There's no Gold Fury. So best call is just to kind of back off, and now they're looking to defend their own tier 2 tower.
My initial reaction to this was, wow, Penn State's really afraid to fight, but now I'm thinking, wow, Penn State is acting really smart. They're making sure that if they have to fight, they're doing it under their own tower. FDD coming into the backline, just my luck is getting CC'd out the wazoo. Totable getting very low. FDD is actually chilling under that, and a great Petrify is going to turn this team fight on its head.
Meditation is going to be able to keep the Spider alive just for now. All ultimates aside from a nice use on Penn State, but no kills have come of it. Zidrio is going to be able to push one away and force the tier 2 tower to fall. 4 members healthy on George Mason. Only F. Diddy is the one who's a little bit unhealthy. They're going to be able to push into this tier 2 mid lane tower as well because they do still have Fire Giant on CM Havoc.
Surprisingly, nobody falling in that team fight. Tier 2 tower mid lane is down. The last tier 2 of the game is now the target for George Mason, but Penn State doesn't want to give up without a fight, and now that they've all gone back and been rejuvenated by the fountain, they're going to try to defend this to the best of their ability.
Nice does still have that ultimate online, waiting to see if anybody can get caught out of position from that one, but they're going to have to do some crazy stuff of their own to be able to guarantee that one. George Mason going to play very smart, back off, maybe try and even bait this Portal Demon. Penny's ultimate is now online. Only Zidryu and CM Havoc have their ult online. Going to get walled down. His 4 members knocked up 3. One's going to get pulled by Nice, and FDD is going to be the first one to fall.
Wormy picking up that kill. CM Havoc, while level 20 is getting jumped on in the back line, is going to get picked up by Manea. Starkey is the next one to fall. Just My Luck is going to pick up a kill right before he falls, and all of a sudden, 4 members of George Mason are down. The chase on the Zedru is going to be called off as Penn State understands they need to go and pick up some objectives while they can. Zedru going to back, and this tier 2 tower in the mid lane doesn't stand a chance.
No, Penn State's going to be able to pick this one up for free, and if they're lucky and they're quick, they may even be able to get a potential Phoenix out of it, but unfortunately it's taking a little bit too long to drop this tower. Instead, they're going to go ahead, back off, maybe clear out some of the jungle. Portal Demon is down right now. It was secured by George Mason, but
Giant.
yeah, Fire Giant's still
That's not
available.
Oh, wait, no! Are they doing it? They're waiting. They're waiting at the Portal Demon. They're waiting to see if they can get a pick as 2 people come through, and immediately all chaos breaks out. The support over on the side of George Mason gets knocked into the air. Starkey, you were going to fall yet again. Even with the boulder, the walls are still there. Starkey does have the shell. A great driving strike is going to be enough to save him. Zedru with a great play.
But Penny's going to continue aggressing forward. He's going to stun out F. Diddy. He is the target right now. Going to get rooted out by the Kumbhakarna. CM Havoc is back into the fight thanks to that across the skies. And it's now a 3v5 at the moment. All members of Penn State are here, but 4 of their ults are on cooldown. Once again, Nice the only one with that ultimate online at the moment.
Zedru playing really aggressively is looking for the driving strike. He's going to get it onto Penny. Not enough to put him out of position, as it looks like the Fire Giant is being started with 4 members of Penn State chilling here. Zedru is trying to be the front line wall, but I don't know if he can hold off all these people. George Mason opts to leash the Fire Giant.
Yeah, very smart call by them. Instead, they're going to like to go back, start healing up, as they do have a lot of great sustain in their kit. They have the Sylvanas Wisp. Hercules has the mitigate wounds. Arachne, one thing that we didn't really touch on, does have that built-in heal with her Venomous Bite, and it does offer quite a bit in the later stages, but FDD's going to get jumped on, going to get lacerated to make sure that it mitigates a little bit of that healing, but it's not really going to come up to anything. Penny's ultimate used very early in the fight. It's going to get pulled back by Starkey, and now Zidryu is going to be the front line for his team.
Zedru is going to try to pull Lurmy. The beads are going to be enough. Starkey is now the target yet again, but we saw what happened last time. The ultimate comes out from Zeus. It's not going to be enough. Petrify, though. A 4-man knockup in the backline. Just My Luck picks up the kill. Wiggles to Bay is down. He is going to fall out of that sleepy form. The Mez is going to be enough. Zedru picks up Wiggles. The Menace is trying his hardest just to get something out of this, as Penny picks up FDD in the back.
And FDD was not able to get quite enough healing, but the spiders from the grave are going to chase him down, and Zidryu is going to pick up Menace. 5 for 2 engagement. The Dia side going in favor of George Mason, and while the Fire Giant is available, I don't know if this is the best call because they don't really have quite a lot of damage. They're going to be able to tank it up for a while, but we'll see if they're going to be able to get this Fire Giant.
Well, while not having enough damage, they do have sustain for days. This might take a while. I kind of expect them to hop off it, especially with Starkey taking as much damage as he does. They got it to under half health. They might just be able to pick it up. And with these abilities coming out constantly, they might just be able to do this. One thing to mention while this is going on, this slowest Fire Giant of all time, the sustained team fights have been going in favor of George Mason as they do pick up the Fire Giant. But Penn State has really been able to get these burst quick team fights going, but they haven't been able to pick up anything after. They win the team fight, they go for something, but it's not the right call, and they lose after a long, extended engagement.
What turned the fight for George Mason, that one, was the Circle of Protection got max charge. 3 members of George Mason stood inside of it, got the benefits of the healing. 2 members of Penn State got caught inside of it. One of them insta-died. Kumakarna was forced down into the sleepy passive. Otherwise, that would have been an instant double kill their way. And that's what they need in these fights, is they need to be able to sustain. They need to be able to get those strong circle protections off. And right now, George Mason sitting with an 11,000 gold lead.
Absolutely crazy right now. George Mason has just been showing that they understand what to do after they get what they want. They get a pick, they go for something. They win a team fight, they go for something. And while Penn State is trying to replicate it, they just aren't doing it as effectively. George Mason, I like to see them go for something a little bit stronger now that they do have Fire Giant on 4 members. I think that they could finally take down a Phoenix at about the 30-minute mark whenever they all group up.
Frostbound Hammer picked up by the Arachne. Sold the Bumbus Mask to get some HP, but more than anything, get extra slows in that kit. Arachne is a very strong auto attack base god, has 2 abilities to really give extra strength to that one, and now it's going to be even harder to get away from the bug. Back to the rule number 1 of Season 1, don't fight the bug. Portal Demon going to go the way of George Mason. They're going to go ahead and elect to take this blue buff maybe back, but they need to be careful and not potentially fall into a trap like last time.
You mentioned the Frostbound being built onto Arachne, and I would like to mention the Crusher being built onto Arachne.
Perfect.
It's great. It's a good pickup because those auto attacks are exactly what you want to make sure that you get your ability, your heal, your stun, your babies back online. You can even build your escape back up. You just want everything you got with Arachne because that's how she gets her damage online.
Yeah, as we said, auto attack based assassin. She's getting that Crusher, gonna make sure that she can utilize those steroids a lot better. Like you said, more heals, more stuns, more babies to throw out. Phoenix is being tanked up here by Zidru. Pop that mitigate wounds to make sure he can tank this up. But a Frenzy's been popped by Penn State. Nothing to come of it right now. Penny's going to take about 1/3 of his life bar from that Spirit Ball. And that may just be the disengage for Penn State. But George Mason wants more.
Everybody on Penn State is just getting chunked. Penny is going to fall to the auto attack from CM Havoc. The right side Phoenix is down. The middle Phoenix is next. And unfortunately, Penn State, they don't have anything they can do. The damage is so incredible from George Mason right now.
Yeah, the problem is they don't have that big zoning ultimate. FDD going to get pulled into the back by Midnight, but he's going to be able to walk away. Petrify's only going to connect onto Starkey, and the 3rd and final bird of this game is going to fall. Now George Mason going to have complete control over the map. Epic uppercut used on Zidru, but that's not going to do anything. He's just going to heal it back up, and now may look to even instead push into Totable.
He's trying to see what he can get. He forced the beads. He's a force to be reckoned with. While he has been rooted, he's taking a decent chunk of damage. The mitigate wounds has been popped. This may have been a bait as we get the double stun, the double driving strike. Larmy Wormy is going to fall. Reveals this very low force back to his fountain. Penny, you are not in a good spot. You got too aggressive, and CM Havoc is going to get the pick, and this might just be the game.
It's quite possible. There's 3 members still strong from Penn State. Fire Giant, or the Titan, is taking damage from some of the minions right now. Wiggles debate is going to be pulled in. Circle Protection is going to be dropped. Not to any avail right now. Titan sitting at about half HP. George Mason still 5 strong. These 3 members aren't going to be able to stop it. And
That's
George
it.
Mason takes the set 2-1.
That's it. George Mason, what an incredible performance. They completely showed what they were worth this game. I don't know what can be said because all of them performed so well.
And on less than conventional picks. Both of their big game successes have been on these kind of awkward junglers. We had the Nemesis game 1. We have the Arachne this time around. And it's working for them. These kind of, what do we do against this god? We haven't seen them in a long time, is working in their favor. And more than anything, Just My Luck performing very well on this Isis over anything else that I've seen from them.
Yeah, that was incredible. Zedru as well. He was performing out of his mind, walking there, playing the perfect frontline game, saying, hey, I'm a Hercules, you can't kill me, come and get it. And then immediately turning around team fights by putting people out of position, getting good damage. And George Mason, they take it, and they have confirmed that they are going to be the first seed from the Japanese division. But I don't know, once we get into the gauntlet, unfamiliarity with picks might not be enough to get them wins over some of these other top teams.
Yeah, they're going to have to be very careful going into these gauntlet stages. They can't depend on these awkward picks. They're going to have to make sure they have some strong strategies. But going into the gauntlet, they also have to remember it's not just going to be George Mason and Penn State. The gauntlet's also going to have the top 2 teams from the Hindu division in their gauntlet stages. That's going to be potentially Tarrant County College and maybe even Georgia Tech Yellow or Eastern Tennessee. So they need to be very wary, and they need to start studying and researching their opponents and seeing what they can do. We do, however, have our gem winner for the night. It's going to be Old Man Deckard Kane. I believe that's how you say the last part
Hopefully.
of it. You are the winner of 400 gems. Congratulations to you, sir. Spend
Say something in the chat, please.
Say something in chat so we can know that you're here, and spend those gems not wisely, because voice packs and skins are the best thing in the game, and you need to spend all of your gems on them.
Or give me the code, man. Feel free. Just show your appreciation for your casters. That's Bryce LPs at BRYCELPS on Twitter. No, but thank you, everyone, for watching this great set tonight. That is going to be all that we have for you tonight. Game 3, the first time we've seen it this season, I believe, right?
As far as streams, yes, this is the first time that we've seen a three-game set on stream. We have seen a couple of them throughout the divisions. I believe Penn State's one of the few teams that have been getting these constant 2-1 matchups against other teams. I know that UMass Dartmouth against SUNY's Buffalo had a 2-1, but as far as our stream, our first and really exciting 3-game set.
Yeah, and with that, we're going to go ahead and call it a night. Thank you to everyone who was watching. Shout out to my co-caster, J-Mac. Thank you to Jithens for being on production, Gormizer for being our stream manager, and of course, Choo Choo Train for being our wonderful commissioner and helping us get everything in order and when we have no idea what's going on. So thank you for watching, and we will see you guys later.